shirts, mate. What can I do?
Yeah.
And now the Brazil shirt. What do you want me to do? I had to wear something. Can't come in.
Talk Sport.
I'm Van Fletcher. Good afternoon. The Egyptian FA's filed an official complaint to FIFA with profound questions over referees in their defeat to Argentina. Egypt head coach Hossam Hassan claims the tournament's rigged in Argentina and Messi's favour. Former England defender Graham Lasso understands the frustration.
The bigger problem for me is the fact that we've created an environment, both with VAR, the appeal system, and the lack of credibility that FIFA have got at the moment, that is allowing people, almost giving them justification to appeal retrospectively, because we saw what happened to Balogun. The damage that does to the credibility and integrity of the game is potentially massive.
Argentina face Switzerland next in the early hours of Sunday morning here on talkSPORT. Next, Sir Keir Starmer's been giving it the big un in the face of some pretty awkward banter from his Norwegian counterpart.
England only win the World Cup under Labour governments in 1966, so the time is ours. Wait and see. It will be a great match.
Jonas Gahr Støre reminded RPM of Norway's famous win over England in 1981. To matters on the pitch, and nervy times for those England players who were on a yellow card heading into Saturday's last day clash. Former Premier League ref Chris Foy has told talkSPORT the referees won't necessarily know who's at risk of suspension.
I very much doubt it, Jeff. Speaking from a personal point of view, it was never something that you take into consideration. I think the people who will know they're on yellow cards are the players themselves, so they'll have to be mindful.
All yellow cards are wiped after this stage of the competition. Remember, England-Norway live on talkSPORT on Saturday night, kick-offs at 10. France and Morocco kick off the quarter-finals tomorrow night live on talkSPORT, meaning there's no World Cup football today. If you're affected by this, please give us a call on 03717 223344.
talkSPORT News.
Donald Trump's not holding back as he says the ceasefire with Iran is over, and Reform UK claim they're being targeted by the deep state. More from Sinead at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Heatwave outside, oven inside. Stay cool this summer with a free aircon check. Book online or visit your local QuickFit today.
Only far northwestern Scotland getting patches of rain. Very warm and dry for the rest of us with plenty of sunshine. Even hotter across southern and central England.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win. This summer, talkSPORT is bringing you live and official coverage of every game of the FIFA World Cup 2026. And to celebrate, we're giving away £26,000 guaranteed. Go to win.talksport.com to enter now, and you could win 26 grand in your hand, tax-free. Enter now, and you could be the next to get that winning feeling, courtesy of talkSPORT Win. Find out how to enter now at win.talksport.com.
Good afternoon, you're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Sean Dyche, and we are live on talkSPORT. So Argentina revives to reach the quarterfinals. What takes you further? Quality, talent, or pure street fighters? Meanwhile, is Marinakis seeking the impossible for a club like Forest? Also today, should managers ever stray into conspiracies? Was it impossible to shut Russia out forever? Does Fury versus Joshua in the UK rest on Sadiq Khan? And following Balogun Gate, we speak exclusively to the US administration about how it all played out. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Sean Dyche, and we are live on talkSPORT. Simon, I could tell in seconds when I clapped eyes on Mr. Dyche when he came into the studio. This man, his mind is miles away from management. In the shirt, the shorts, the sandals. He's virtually working on a beach. No, you're not. You're working with us. Sean, how are you?
Absolutely. Really good, really good. Good to see you, gents. I've followed a bit of what you were doing out there. Looked like you had fun amongst all the work and the hours, but...
Yes. Yes.
No, I'm good. I'm really good, thank you.
Good, and I'm glad you caught up with what we were doing.
I've been doing a bit while you've been away. You know, I've actually been doing a bit of
I
work.
can't shake him. I've got him on the show with me and Piers all the time.
Oh, yes, yeah. How'd you find that company? Jordan and Piers Morgan. How was that for you, Sean?
It's like a shout-a-thon. It's like who can get over each other the most. It's who can put in the most. It's a put-in-a-thon. But it's good fun. No, it's good fun.
You got a word in?
Well, I managed to get a couple in, but I did have to work hard to get my word in.
Brilliant. Have you enjoyed it? I mean, Simon and I were immersed in it when we were out there. We still are back here. Have you enjoyed it so far?
Yeah, I think I know we're going to go on to some of the stuff that you two are more expert than me, the politics of it all, which I think has taken just a little bit of the edge off, and it not necessarily.
Yeah.
But football-wise, yes, I think the demand early on in the tournament for exciting games, you know, I think because other tournaments in the previous, they've been very cagey, they're around almost a bit sleepy. You know, you're like, oh, they're all trying to get through the first round, and like this has been a full-on excitement sort of for me, full-on of excitement, sorry.
Yeah.
And even some of the small nations doing marvellously to make it even more exciting.
I think, Simon, I don't know about you, it's becoming the tournament of terrible defending. I mean, there are howling moments now and again, Sean. Sean and I spoke very briefly, and it was brief, about poor Scott McKenna for Scotland against Brazil, when it should have been Rose Ed and it wasn't. We know what happened after that. But some of the defending, we talk about, the players who really catch the eye, Mbappe, Messi, Harry Kane.
Yep.
Some of the defending's been lousy.
Yeah, but you could say that's a malaise created by ideologies of asking players to play certain ways when they're not capable of doing it, not picking the right ball because it's a philosophy of playing a certain way. And, you know, you look at it and common sense seems to have evaporated at times.
Yeah.
I mean, the Scott McKenna situation, without wanting to single him out, it's just get it out your feet and gone. You're 6 minutes into a game, you're trying to make sure that you don't give anything away early, so why put yourself in a way of harm? But then you watch this and you say, in his old club, we watch a manager do that and get Bayern Munich's job. So the world's gone mad.
That's true, Sean.
He's got better players, so now he can do that.
We had that a while ago on our show about that, didn't we? And you know, there is that idea. I mean, for me, even the terminology used is interesting. You know, Rose Ed, if I say that, it's suddenly a different story than you saying it.
Oh, I know.
But the reality is there's still a time and a place. But there is a lot of pressure on modern young coaches and managers to play this right way. But good decisions is the right way of playing, you know.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, why didn't he pass it? What about when it does go wrong like it did? It's horrendous. And you're in a World Cup. That is horrendous.
Right. But when you say there's a lot of pressure on you guys to play in a certain way, where does that come from? And do you not just say, no, we'll do it my way, thanks?
I think football changed with the Spanish Revolution of many years ago, and Pep and all them guys. You know, they didn't mean to, but Pep's a genius. He inadvertently put pressure on managers and coaches from a younger generation, from my younger generation, to play this beautiful way. Now, it is, and some of the football we've seen over the last 10, 15, 20 years, mate, has been spectacular. But there's still a time and a place to do the right thing, make the right decision, clear your lines in old money, get it forward. Go and ask questions to the opposition. My biggest question mark about the Scots game was, Scotland-Brazil, was you're playing Brazil. You don't need to play out the back, in my opinion. I would have changed the tactics, and I think the world of Steve, so I'm not getting involved.
No, I know.
I would have personally gone, let's play the wrong way against these, because they're going to find that more challenging than if we try and play what people could consider the right way.
He's absolutely right, Simon.
But it's also about the players taking individual responsibility.
Yeah.
Because I asked John Terry this and said to him, what do you do in a situation where you're encouraged to play a certain way by your managers, but you're on a pitch, you've got a situation in front of you. What ball do you select? Do you select the ball that you think you should play, or the ball that you've been introduced into your mindset that you have to play? And he says, no, good players make the individual decisions. They assess the situation, they evaluate the risk profile and go, get it gone, or play it sideways.
Yeah.
One of the two, depending upon how good you are. And the problem is you've got coaches trying to make, I'm all for making players better. But there is a point where you can't ask a one-legged man to run a 10-second 100 metres and expect him to do it and then berate him for not being able to do it. Defenders are defenders for a reason, because their primary function in life is to stop people from scoring goals.
Yes, exactly.
I thought that was interesting with Jed Spence.
Yeah.
Tuchel screaming at him. You know, the visuals have been really screaming.
Well, I think it's right.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but what have you told him before? Because if he ain't delivering that, what have you coached him before? You're getting to the point you're having to scream at someone.
Yeah, but also the optics of it. What we then saw was a little gang of people saying it's bullying. I mean, this is the society
don't even start with that.
Exactly. I'm like the biggest reinforcement, the biggest encouragement Jed Spence ever got was being picked for England by Thomas Tuchel. So if Thomas Tuchel was dug outside and wants to get into him to remind him of his obligations and drive him on, there's only one thing worse for a manager, for a player, is when a manager's no longer interested in you.
Yes. Yeah, true.
That's the worst.
True. Well, we've had lousy defending. We've had blood, sweat, and tears. We had Messi's tears last night. In tears at full time, he scored the equaliser, having already missed a penalty earlier in the game. 3 goals in the last 10 minutes. See Argentina stage what was, and it was, a remarkable comeback against Egypt. Sean, I don't know about you. I'm beginning to think some things in football just feel written in the script, don't they?
Yeah, I'm not
Is
sure.
there a name on this trophy?
I'm not sure
again?
whether we're getting the psychology of storylines, and it's almost like you want the storyline because it makes it feel good and it makes it feel special, but it's not that easy. I get your point, and of course we could imagine that all storylines work out, but they don't, especially not in football.
Yeah.
I think the rose-coloured tint or rose-tinted glasses idea of it, yes, of course, Messi, another World Cup, what he's doing, he scores a goal, he misses a penalty, all the drama of it. But I don't think it's necessarily written. I tell you what, I will say to give him respect, he's written a lot of his own story. That guy. You know what I mean? We can all say the story's written. He's done his bit in writing the story of life.
What are they? Are they truly street fighters, Argentina?
Do you know, I've been listening to a lot of that, and I was listening to the England thing, and the praise on Tuchel. I'm looking at, if I'm playing for England, I expect to put my way in. I expect to put my body on the line.
Exactly.
And bravery, I don't just mean that, right? For me, that would have been my idea of bravery.
Yeah.
I play with players, their idea of bravery is dealing with the ball in tight circumstances. Their idea of bravery is dealing with the right moment, the right decision we're just talking about. Make the right decision at the right time.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of bravery, but it's still bravery. So there's no individual moment where you can just describe bravery as, everyone thinks. It's our generation, our psyche that thinks the only bravery is when you're getting cut and you're throwing your head in.
Right.
I had loads of that, but I'm not sure I wanted the ball in my own box and be playing 300 passes like they do now. I'd be saying to the keeper, you dare give that to me.
We'll get to the bravery thing further down the line, Sean, because that is a very interesting aspect of this World Cup. Fight backs with Cape Verde, Simon, and now Egypt. Is it impossible to write off the defending champions, Argentina? I looked at them last night and I thought, they've revved up their engines now.
Well, it depends if you put a better side against them. I'm not going to allow them back into the game, irrespective of the excellence of an individual player. I mean, look, they've got a quality. They're a reasonably decent side, but I don't think they're a well-beating side. And I think if you put them against someone like the French, they're going to get their backside smacked, and they're not going to come back from a couple of goals down against the French. Now, it would appear that by the late nature of the construct, we're going to play them in the semi-finals if we beat the Norwegians on the weekend.
Right.
And I think they're infinitely beatable. I know they've got this elite footballer in the middle of the park that can sit there and do wonderful things. I still think that England have the ability to beat Argentina, irrespective of getting carried away and getting all up our own backsides about how important we are and he's coming home and all that old pony.
Right.
The bottom line is I think that man for man, the Argentinians are infinitely beatable side.
Infinitely beatable, Sean, are they?
I think they're certainly beatable. I mean, I think that we've been mentioning about England's back four, back five, if you like, with the keeper. Well, we've questioned it. But Argentina's like that. I mean, their two centre-halves look at times, considering they're both very good players. I know, Mara gets question marks, but they're very good players. But at times, as a unit, they look all over the place. So, I agree about the French thing. I would think the French would put them under massive pressure with their power on transition, their power of turnover, but also their power in tight areas of clever play. I think they can hurt most teams, to be fair. You've got to defend against them. And if you're going to win it, I think you've got to beat them at some point.
Well,
whoever comes across them, obviously.
What we have seen are managers occasionally straying into conspiracy theories, and the Egyptian boss, Hossam Hassan, certainly did that. When we come back, we'll look at his comments. I wonder what Sean has said in the past, and he thought afterwards, geez, why did I say that? Hassan wasn't bothered what he said. He went for it. We'll get to that shortly. It is a Wednesday afternoon. We're not used to this, Simon, but we're getting used to it. We're live in talkSPORT. Wednesday, July the 8th, getting into the business end of this World Cup. And at 1:15 in the afternoon, and the temperature's rising, not only in the US, but here in London. We're live in talkSPORT. Stay with us. Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Sean Dyche.
Michael Owen, in his Daily Mail column, has decided, I think, to take a bit of a swing at how we have reacted to that Arsenal Freudian slip there. That England result the other night. And he says, let's not confuse drama with quality. England must improve. He's basically dismissed the calls that it was brave. He says, I think we mistake what bravery in football is. We are celebrating players throwing themselves in front of shots as if they have gone to war. And he offers his own interpretation of bravery, which is real bravery is wanting the ball when 80,000 people are willing you to make a mistake. It's showing for possession when everyone else is hiding. It's taking the ball off your mate when he's in trouble, knowing if you lose it, you'll be criticised. That's football bravery, and that's what England need more of if they are going to win this World Cup. In the context of how it made this country feel as well, this feels like quite a miserable take. I know that we need to start looking ahead to Norway and the improvements that we need on the pitch, but for the moment,
100%.
I think
let's celebrate.
Let's celebrate. It's Wednesday.
I totally disagree, Michael Owen. I feel that players in that atmosphere, you know what I mean? Everyone's talking about the altitude. You've got 80,000 Mexican fans. I think it is heroic in a way of you getting on the ball, Jude Bellingham getting on the ball, Dan Burn throwing themselves up in front of shots, doing that for your country, knowing how much football means to this country. People are going through a tough time. It's not the best state at the moment, the country. And those players, I think, hold themselves in a high manner because that's what you want to see from your team. How many times have we been in tournaments where, you're playing against Mexico away. Okay, we don't want to turn up. Some players crumble. Every player, even the subs that come on,
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win. This summer, talkSPORT is bringing you live and official coverage of every game of the FIFA World Cup 2026. And to celebrate, we're giving away £26,000 guaranteed. Go to win.talksport.com to enter now, and you could win 26 grand in your hand, tax-free. Enter now, and you could be the next to get that winning feeling, courtesy of talkSPORT Win. Find out how to enter now at win.talksport.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. 1:20 on a Wednesday afternoon. It is roasting in London. I hope it's decent wherever you're listening all around the UK and beyond. So many people come up to me in New York, said they listen, and I'm delighted about that. And they watch the show as well. So today is no exception. We're live on YouTube. You can watch it, you can listen to it, you can do whatever you like with it. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Sean Dyche live on talkSPORT. So Egypt went out, Argentina went through, and now it's shaping up in a way that England fans might like. Some England fans might not like. But if England beat Norway and Argentina beat Switzerland, then the two will meet. But Sean, I wonder, as a manager, and I've often thought this about, you speak your mind after a game and it's so soon after full time. Have there been moments you think, oh God, why did I say that? The Egyptians, angry, of course, after VAR ruled out a second goal when they were 1-0 up. And then they were adamant that Salah was fouled in Argentina's penalty area seconds before Argentina went up the other end and scored the winner. The Egyptian boss, Hossam Hassan, perhaps they wanted to keep the world champions in the competition. Perhaps they wanted Messi to stay in the running. And he goes on to say, life is unfair. The world's unfair. Normal life is unfair. Why isn't there any fairness in sport? He went for it. He really ran off at the mouth.
I think it's really difficult. He's speaking on behalf of the country. You know, I was often speaking on behalf of a club for one. The League Managers Association have done a lot with the TV companies to say, give them a breather, give them a chance to reflect. I think it's a little bit overpowering. I understand the emotion of it, but your job is to handle them emotions and wrap them up the best you can.
And is that true about the LMA? They've been speaking to broadcasters.
Yeah,
maybe not.
They have a meeting. No, they have a meeting with the TV companies, not just TV companies. Sorry, with the media outlets.
Yeah.
And just give a suggestion, give them at least a chance, give them a window. Because you know now they're talking about the idea of getting in changes, it's talking about the idea down the tunnel, they're talking about the idea immediately after it. Now, of course, I know of our wonderful listeners could reflect, yeah, but you get paid to do that. Money doesn't take away emotion. Money doesn't control emotion. So if you're there and you're very emotional and it's happened and it's gone against you, and in that fashion, of 2-0 up, 3-2 down, you're driving yourself mad as a manager starters thinking, did that actually just happen? Why didn't that player do that and that do that? Because your body, your brain's whirring over the game. And then you've got to, answer these questions.
Yeah.
Emotion sometimes pours out and gets the better of you. I don't get too emotional because I have no emotions, as you know. Just made of granite. It's quite simple.
You reined me in completely there. Simon, eventually, they've got to watch what they say, do they not? The Egyptian striker Mustafa Ziko, he's into conspiracy theories. The referee was not fair. The injustice was clear. It is clear this tournament has been fixed.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about players, if you're talking about managers, once they've got into the groove of being a manager, yes, of course you can't take emotion out of situations, but you can learn to control your emotions. The one thing you can do, and is control your own mind. And if you're an experienced manager and you know that interviews are coming after the game and you know what's expected of you and you know what you've got to do and you know what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and if you've got hundreds of games behind you and by the time you're an international manager you're very experienced, I think by that time you have to be in a situation where you control what you say, irrespective of your emotions, because it's not your first rodeo. It's not the first time you've done it. You're not inexperienced, and you can control these things. Now, I don't think that's easy to say from the sidelines because one's never done it. I've been in plenty of situations, pressure situations in life, business, and in sport, where you know what you should do, and you know what you could do, and you know what you would do. And so when you do your first one, you go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. When you've done your 50th one, you say, well, maybe I still shouldn't do that. When you've done your 500th one, by that time, you should be able to be in a situation where you don't put yourself into a set of circumstances that creates the controversy.
Right.
And irrespective of whether it's 5 minutes after a game, if that's the business that you're in, like managers now.
Yeah.
Like Rafa Benitez was bemoaning his situation at Panathinaikos yesterday about the fact he doesn't get given any time. If the name of the game is be effective in 7 months, then be effective in 7 months.
Sure. If broadcasters straight into, and this is hypothetical, right, we're going to go into the boardroom on full time and speak to owners.
We wouldn't learn much.
Well, I was going to say
if it was my boardroom, I wouldn't have been there.
But would they have to watch that they don't stray into the over-emotional area? Would they be just as emotional as a manager, as Hossam Hassan, as Sean Dyche?
Well, it depends on the owner, doesn't it? If it's Manchester City, their owner's not there. It depends what kind of owner it is. If it's the cook, the candlestick maker,
some owners want to be out there. They want to be out there answering. They want to be that profile.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. And the way that the game has changed, we used to be, and what was it? Len Shackleton's book, What Do Directors Know About Football? Blank page. The world has turned. The most important people in a football club, with due respect to the managers and the players, are now the owners, because the owners decide what their football club is. They decide whether he gets a job. They decide who plays for them. They decide what they want their football club to do. They decide what they want football club to look like. And that is now because ownership has changed so dramatically. And, in terms of owners wanting to have an opinion, why wouldn't you? You own a football club.
We're going slightly off piste. I think coming back to this is, the idea it's clear tournament has been fixed. I think that's a bit powerful. Let's have it right. Because at the end of the day, if you were fixing the tournament, you'd keep Brazil in it, surely. You're fixing the you try and keep them in it. If you want worldwide viewings, and advertising and money and all that and revenues and fixing it for the right reasons so the superpowers are inside the competition.
Well, we can evaluate the stupidity, but we can dissect the stupidity of individual statements. But we're talking about the premise of what.
I don't think that's stupid. I think it's harsh. I don't think it's a stupid comment. I think it's just in the moment. It's got wrapped up in the moment. There's billions of people.
Stupid comment. You can't run around saying.
Simon, there's billions of people.
It's an uninformed, uneducated, unsubstantiated, with no empirical background behind it. Because it's an uneducated view. You can't tell something's fixed unless you know it to be factually the case.
No,
so
I just said his emotions run riot.
But it's a stupid comment because it's not seeded in anything. So what the argument is about and debate is about is whether people should be able to say these sort of things and whether the consequences of it should be far-reaching. And what we're talking about is how people should operate.
I think Simon's right in this one, is he not, Sean? It is clear this tournament has been fixed. Then that guy boards a plane and flies back to Egypt and goes unpunished. I mean, my God, that's conspiratorial.
No, I totally agree. It's too powerful. That part of the statement is too powerful.
Yeah.
The rest of the referee's not fair. We've all said that in different variances down the years. The injustice was clear. I mean, look, the argument going back to, the facts of it as a manager, forgetting that last part of the statement, which is powerful, and you can't forget it, I understand, but let's just, for our question and answer here, forget it. The injustice is the foul, isn't it? They're going, why are you bringing it back to that foul? Why are you allowing that foul to create such a moment in a game and bring it back for their goal? The goal that was disallowed.
But the irony of it is, if you interviewed a referee, right, and a referee went out and said, these clowns are unfair, the players cheat, the managers harass and abuse us on the side, there'd be outrage.
Yeah.
So when players are able and managers are able to turn around and say, this is unfair, this is wrong, that's wrong, this is wrong, if it was flipped the other way and the referees had an opinion on things, I'm not saying that referees are more important than the players and managers, not what I'm saying. I'm saying that none of them really understand what it's like to be a referee, despite their best protestations. The mistakes that are made are often human error, like they make human errors all of the time. And the only argument would be, I suspect, is the consequence of refereeing decisions don't seem to be as visible at times on the referee as it might be on a manager and a player.
Yeah.
I.e. a manager can lose his job.
Referees don't forget, are advised behind the scenes, I admit, not in not going out in public and do interviews, but they are strongly advised on how they should referee. And don't forget, they get downgraded if they're not refereeing the right manners, which the powers that be suggest they should be refereeing. Yeah. So I feel a bit for refs, and I've got a bad rep with referees. I don't know why I haven't in the game, but people think I'm always on them. But in the game, the referees I'm fine with, because I am one of the one who does protect them, because I think it's a blooming hard job.
It's almost an impossible job.
It's getting more impossible because the players do drop on the floor for no reason. So how do you define that? A referee's not a medic, and I've seen in this World Cup, for whatever the FIFA directives, it does seem different. I know, sorry, I'm wandering off this a little bit, but it does seem different. I've let more go. Yeah, brilliant. It's refreshing to see. Right. It's fallen on the floor with nothing wrong with it. Ref almost not even looking at them, not even telling. Nowadays I tell you to get it, but they don't even do that. They just play on and wander off down the pitch.
But have you never gone after officials? Are you saying to me that you've always gone out?
No. Of course I've been after officials.
You've gone after them
many times.
Right, many times.
But I haven't got to the point of saying stuff like this, and I never would. I never would. Because I don't think this exists personally. Yeah. Or it certainly doesn't in my opinion, of World Cups. Although, an interesting thing with
managers
with Trump.
International and club level are paranoid, aren't they? At the best of times.
Look,
they're all out to get us.
I think it's a very tough job. I don't think it's made easier by players. I mean, I've been harping on about this for years. About dive in and now fake injury. It's disrespectful to the game. I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. I don't think the populace does, although they're seemingly, I get hammered about saying that. I don't know why. Because I know there's an undercurrent of people out there feel the same, because I speak to them every time when I'm in the street. And I'm sure you do yourself. And they go, we're fed up of it.
Some managers can undoubtedly make a referee's job harder, don't they?
Absolutely. But that's all part of the game management of the job, isn't it? Applying some form of pressure on different situations. Managers have been doing it for years, through the media, telling stories on each other, trying to rile each other up. It's a similar but different thing. All I'm suggesting is the rest of this, I'll go, emotional. The last bit, unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
So you can't say it's
clear this tournament has been.
Yeah,
fixed.
That's not anything to do with him as a person. That's to do with the game. I don't think that's right. I don't think managers, can say things like that. It's too much, too powerful.
It's incredible, some of the stuff that came out of the Egyptian camp. As for Hossam Hassan, the Egyptian manager, he's not going to watch a single moment of the World Cup going forward. I'm not going to continue following the matches of this World Cup. It is my own way of speaking up and standing up. I'm not going to watch a single match of this tournament. Well, it's up to you, mate. But you're out anyway. The Egyptian FA, incidentally, have now filed a complaint to FIFA about refereeing standards. What's the point of that? They're out.
Yeah, I mean,
where's that going to go, Simon?
I'll be interested. Simon, where will that go? Because I can't understand that. I can't understand why.
What is the point of that?
Well, if you want things to change and you legitimately believe that the standards are below a level, you can't just walk away in silence because it no longer affects you because you're no longer in the tournament. You either mean it or you don't mean it, because the next time you come around, you want your standards to increase, don't you? Now, I understand the position. It's almost like suggesting that because something doesn't affect you, that you should. It's like I make this argument about these guys and their double standards about VAR decisions. I'm going to use the example of David Moyes when he was going berserk about a decision that was given against him. But if the decision was given for him, he would have been silent about it. And you can't have it both ways. And that's why it's almost an impossible circle to square. If you believe that the refereeing standards legitimately and can point to the reasons why you are absolutely emphatic in that belief, then you have every responsibility for the well-being of your next set of experiences to go, right, I've got to make sure that we affect change. Yeah. Otherwise, how does change occur? If you believe so emphatically that you were robbed by bad refereeing decisions, is it going to help you by staying silent?
Well, exactly.
Well, let me give it a generalised view.
Clubs do it, Sean.
A few different things. Firstly, do you want the game to flow better before this World Cup and before the Premier League night? Do generally the public want? Yes, I would say yes.
Yeah.
Do you want VR to be quicker? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want decisions to be more referee bound? Yes. Well, you got all three at this World Cup. You got three because they're all working in progress better.
Right.
The VR, look how quick the VR's been compared to what we see normally.
But so do you agree that with me though that it's a bit late for Egypt to lodge a complaint with FIFA?
Yeah.
Having said that though, Sean, when you were at Forest, is it not the case that Forest lodged a complaint with the PGMOL about a goal that was scored?
But that's from the
against
powers
Ular?
that be. That wasn't
Ryan Cherky.
That wasn't just my guidelines.
You didn't have anything to do
I
with
might
it.
have been frustrated by some decisions, but the powers that be, you were talking.
Did you not put them up to filing the complaint?
You're talking now not about the manager. The manager's giving a view. You're talking about their nation or their FA or whoever putting the complaint in. That's a different ballgame.
That would come in consultation with the manager as well.
Yeah.
But the next time you manage, do you want to experience the same thing again? Or is there a possibility by tub thumping after the event, when you're going to get no material benefit in the here and now, the next time around, referees might have had a new set of standards introduced, a new set of obligations upon them, because people speak up about the events when they're no longer getting a benefit from it?
Sure.
Manager's job is not to control their FA. Manager's job is not to control the ownership. Manager's job is to manage the team, give an opinion, do the best they can. In my opinion,
I like
not to get political.
I like it.
It's to do their job, and that's what he's tried to do. I just think on this occasion it's too powerful. He's got too emotional, and he's delivered a statement which is too much. I think
this is Lively, and we're only half an hour in. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Sean Dyche live in talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation.
Terrible story here, really. The French Football Federation say they're filing a report for legal action against a Paraguayan senator who launched into a racist tirade against Kylian Mbappe after Paraguay were knocked out by France in the last 16. Celeste Amarilla, she's a national senator in Paraguay. She took to Twitter, to launch an attack on Kylian Mbappe, which we would consider in this country to be an absolutely outrageous racist attack on the France striker. Many of the comments are that disgraceful, boys. I can't, and I genuinely do not want to repeat them. One thing she did say, though, which I think captures how rank and classless she is she said, the only thing many of us blame the Paraguay team for is not giving Mbappe a full-handed slap at the end of the game. I mean, I cannot stress how appalling her comments were, but Mbappe was class in his response. He took to Twitter, a platform that we know is rife with abuse. Yeah. And he was brilliant. He said, you're a despicable woman and unworthy of your position. You do not represent Paraguay, the country which has sweated passion and honour throughout the competition. Through your reckless and brazen racism, the entire world has already forgotten the journey and the historic effort that your players accomplished during this World Cup, making way for an incompetent woman who gives the worst possible image of her country. And I think that's a great response to what is yet another example of prominent black players being victims of racist abuse, tropes and stereotypes.
I've seen the statement, disgusting, mate, is all I can say. Some of the words that she used, and are you surprised? Not really. Do you know what I mean?
Sadly, no.
Yeah, you expect it in the world we live in. If I was France, I'd go full force on.
We've all seen one of these before, right? The old heavy leather book. No, not that one. That one. Used in World Cups and football as a whole for years back in the day. It's a far cry from modern balls made from synthetic materials, full of sensors for VAR and goal line technology. So when did the switch happen? Up until 1970, it was generally the rule of thumb that the host nation would provide the ball. The balls were always made from leather, usually with a vulcanized rubber interior, the same stuff they make tennis balls from. But in rainy and muddy conditions, the ball would absorb loads, and it was like playing with a brick. In 1970, Adidas were tasked with creating their first ball, and they came up with this icon, the Telstar. Despite its new, sleek look, it was a handful for goalkeepers and pretty unpleasant to head with. So in 1974, Adidas came out with the Telstar Durlast, the first synthetically coated ball that would be resistant to water and mud, and generally wouldn't wear as badly. The next major breakthrough came during the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, where Adidas placed an alien-like sensor in the middle of the ball, tracking every touch at 500 hertz to aid referees in offside decisions and handball calls. But in essence, it's the same ball developed by Adidas over 40 years ago.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is a very warm afternoon in the southeast. I hope it's good wherever you are listening on this day, Wednesday, July the 8th. And we're at 1:30, just gone, 25 to 2 on a Wednesday afternoon. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Sean Dyche. We're live on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation. Now we're getting to it. Now there are 8, the quarterfinals at this World Cup. So we've got France against Morocco. That's live on talkSPORT. Spain against Belgium. That's live on talkSPORT. Then on Saturday, Norway, England, live on talkSPORT. Sunday, Argentina, Switzerland, 2 a.m. live on talkSPORT. Sean Dyche is alongside Simon. Sean, when you look at it all, against France, Spain, Argentina, 3 mighty footballing forces, how much of a leveller will Thomas Tuchel be when it comes to meeting one of them?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've certainly asked the question, and when we got through to the World Cup, so we haven't played anyone of any real superpower yet. This tournament, of course, with the way that the Mexico, different superpower with the altitude and the different challenges, so not a superpower that we'd all know, but you get what I mean, it levelled that out a little, made them almost have not a superpower, but a different way of operating and a tougher way of operating for the England side. We've come through that one. Backs against the wall, British Bulldog spirit from the 82 and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
We referenced the bravery in different ways. Now you're coming across what you would consider the more superpower teams, or could come across them, And by the way, I'm not doing down Norway at the moment because it's interesting. I'm interested in this debate that we started with, this bravery and all that. Well, what about them then? They've been brave. Holland scored the goals, but have you seen the team around them? Working, throwing themselves, defending, working as a unit.
Yeah.
Cape Verde are brave. Do you know what I mean? Some of these, so I'm not sure about the bravery bit. That should be intact. For me, that should be a given in your side.
But do you buy into this, or the Tuchel factor? That's going to be the difference.
I think it's been...
Gareth Southgate has gone. Games that you wanted to win and maybe should have won, you didn't end up winning with Gareth there, but you might with Tuchel.
There's a couple of things. I'm not saying it's unfair, but I think it's a little injustice on Gareth, because when Gareth first went in, and the first couple of times, he's renowned for creating a club atmosphere in an international environment. And I think Tuchel has done a very similar type thing. I think he's trying to bond a group of players and a different feeling to just being an international group of players.
Yeah.
That's the impression I got. Gareth was doing all that. Gareth had people come and speak to the team. He had people, darts competitions, pool competitions, all sorts of bits.
But Sean, in terms of the outcome.
Oh, yeah, but we haven't got an outcome yet, have we?
No,
hasn't got an outcome yet.
No, I agree.
So
that's the question.
Gareth had a foreman of an outcome, which was getting to where he got to in all the tournaments.
Yeah.
He hasn't got there. Well, he hasn't done anything more yet. Do more is going to be the real question. That's what I'm interested in.
And that's
I'm not interested in all this.
That's the key aspect with Tuchel.
But that is the nature of he's being a bit obtuse. That's the question. The Tuchel factor is when it comes to play, he's got the same sort of draw. I've always been very mindful of the fact that Southgate had good draws, and we took advantage of those draws. You can only beat what's in front of you, but it's nice to have opposition that you, on paper, you're better than. And every time we came up against paper opposition that we weren't better on paper, we lost with Gareth Southgate. Now, the question will only ever be answered when on paper, if we beat the Norwegians and we play the Argentinians, there'll be an argument that the Argentinians can beat us. If we beat the Argentinians, then the Tuchel effect will have come into play. And the argument and the reasons why Tuchel was brought in, because he wasn't brought in to maintain the status quo. He wasn't brought in to do the same things that Gareth has been brought in to do. On Gareth's initial situation was to take over from Sam, albeit he was offered the job before Sam, but he was brought in to take off for the chaos of the 2016 situation. Sam created his own chaos, and then Gareth came in and created a well-being, which is ironic that this mentality that was supposedly so prevalent there was actually mentioned and referred to by Jude, that actually it wasn't quite what people thought it was last time in the Euros, and there was a different feeling with Thomas Tuchel. The only way we will know if the Tuchel experiment and the Tuchel effect becomes prevalent is when we beat someone that we shouldn't beat, and we haven't done that in a very long time.
Forget the media view. What's he actually changed, Tuchel? What's he actually changed? 4-2-3-1 or 4-1-4-1, whichever way you look at it. Very similar style. They're trying to play out from the back when they can. They're trying to affect teams when they can. What's actually changed? What's actually changed?
Yeah. But that's not the point, is it?
Well, no, it's exactly the point. Because as a football man and a football manager, which I am, I'm looking at the football team and the football side of it. I'm just suggesting the environment around it.
The players are the players.
Will be a different
and the formation of the team is almost a subtext. When you get to a moment in a game where something needs to be affected and something needs to be changed, there's an elite manager gene and there's an average manager gene. And the elite managers like Mancini that took the game away from England when they were winning that European Championship final, and Gareth Southgate sat and watched it happen. He watched it happen against the Croatians, he watched it happen against the Italians, he watched it happen against the French. And what you've got with Tuchel is that belief system that when it comes on top, not the setup of the team or what they do to qualify for a qualifying group that they can walk through, or not to win through the qualifying stages of the World Cup, when you get that big moment, these guys, the ones that win, the Mourinhos, the Guardiolas, the top managers, the Ancelottis, they go, that's the moment when they come to the fore.
And he hasn't had it yet.
And he hasn't had it yet. Yeah. And it will come against the better team.
Well, I hope it does.
And that's what
By the way, just to be clear, I hope it does.
Yeah.
I want him to win. I want us to do well.
Now,
I've got to call out.
Do you believe that premise?
I'm not going to have other managers done down like some kind of mythical super because we don't know yet. Of course, I want it to happen. I want England to win the World Cup.
You do accept there's some managers are better than other managers.
Of course,
right?
there is.
So the premise of the Tuchel proposition is that this is what Tuchel's been brought in for. When it comes on top, when we get an opportunity to beat a Croatian in a semi-final, or we get an opportunity to overpower the French when we've got them on the rack, and we don't take that opportunity.
Show me a great manager, and I'll show you a great group of players. Very rare. They ain't going to win it. They ain't going to win it because of the manager. England will win it because of the group of players. The manager will do his job in guiding the players to win it. But when that whistle blows, you're almost relying on a group of players who are modelled tactically, who understand the game, they understand the qualities to deliver, and then delivering.
Okay, well,
he can't decide that moment.
Odds that out with Belgium then, because I hear your argument that you can't turn water into wine, right? Some people can, but most people can't, right? In the instance of the Belgians have had arguably, and in most people's minds, the best group of players in international football for a long period of time. Maybe not now, but during a period. What did they win?
No, but we're on about teamship. We're on about
managers. No, we're not on about managers.
No. We started this conversation about the feel that Tuchel was bringing, not just decisions, the tactical. We all started about the feel. I registered the fact that Gareth created a feel of a club environment.
No, you started that argument. You said that.
No, it wasn't an argument, by the way. It was an opinion from the manager.
Yeah,
so I'm giving an opinion.
But Sean, if England end up winning this in the US, how much of that will go down to Tuchel?
I think he'll get his fair share. What I'm saying is, and he deserves it. He would deserve. I don't think he is at the moment. I think Harry Kane is the X factor. I think Bellingham's the X factor. What I'm saying is, he should be doing his job correctly because he's a top manager.
But you had those X factors with Gareth.
But there were a different set of players at a different circumstance in time. Look at Croatia. Croatia was a great example. Are Croatia the side that they were 8 years ago when we played them in the first game?
No, they're not.
No. So therefore he goes through it, right? And we go brilliant, right? Come down, second half was really, really cool. Really great second half, I thought. Fantastic. That's what we want. We all want to see that, England, dynamic, playing good football, scoring goals, people driving into the box, etc.
But you know management inside out. Tuchel might just be the 1% difference.
He might well be, but what I'm saying
between winning it and not winning it.
I need to make this really clear. I am not questioning or doing him down. I'm trying to give you a balanced view of how I see management.
Yeah.
He hasn't done it yet. You only ever judged on what you end up winning, not whether you could have won it. Brendan Rodgers, apart from the slip, would have possibly, very nearly could have won the Premier League.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But they don't judge him on the fact as if he did win it. He did win it.
Until England do it.
That's all I'm saying. And I want him to win it. I want the country to win the World Cup.
But the bottom line is this, and we will never know if Tuchel had been in charge of England at Wembley that night, in the European final against Italy. Might you have ended up winning
I was there, by the way. I was there.
It.
You know, you
changed it.
Changed it.
So Simon's point is right, is it not, Sean?
The whole world is watching. Even the most.
If you change it and you lose, right? You didn't know what you're doing.
Change
it and you win. You do know
you
what
make
you're
a decision.
Doing. That is the life. No.
You make a decision. We all know you live and die by decisions. But when something's coming on top and the whole world's watching it and going, we need to change something. We need to change something. We need to change something. Okay, we haven't changed something. They've scored. Now we're going to change something. They've scored. Now it's easy to be a Monday night quarterback. We all know that, right? But the bottom line is that my inherent belief is the reasons why there's elite managers and there's the reason why there's good managers. Right?
None of us have ever had a bad game in here. Simple as that. A bad game.
See, we're not football
when
people.
You're on the sidelines, and you're under pressure.
Oh, he's coming alive now, Mr. Dyche.
That's when the truth is. Really.
But Tuchel will only be judged by when those moments come.
Yes.
They haven't come. They haven't come against Ghana.
Which is fair. That's exactly fair.
But when they do come, I'm willing to bet you that Tuchel's credentials and the elite gene that I think that he has, which is the reasons why he's managed PSG, Bayern Munich. Yeah, it's a mentality. It's a mentality. Of course, don't be so bloody stupid.
I've got a ginger gene.
Well, yeah, you've got many genes, I suspect.
I have flat genes.
Ill-fitting ones, most of them, I suspect, yeah.
The three of us will take a deep breath and head to Wimbledon because Lisa is waiting to talk to us. Lisa.
It's 30 Celsius on centre court on day 10 of the championships, where the crowd are going to have to pace themselves across a potentially long day. Hopefully not as long as Novak Djokovic's win in the record-breaking longest men's quarter-final ever at Wimbledon last night. So we now know the benchmark is 5 hours 15 minutes. Arthur Ferry set sail in his quest to become only the second wildcard in the Open era to reach the semi-finals here. Goran Ivanisevic was the last, and of course he lifted the trophy. But let's not get carried away. Ferry weighs anchor against Flavio Cobolli after Marta Kostyuk and Jasmine Paolini have finished their match. We are on serve in the first set, 1-2 to Kostyuk, and over on court number 1, Elise Mertens and Linda Noskova. Well, there's nothing to decide between those two either. Mertens is 3-2 in the first set.
Lisa, thank you very much indeed. We're flying in here. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Sean Dyche. We're live in talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First up, Toolstation.
What did you think of Cristiano's performances at this World Cup?
Well, listen, to be honest, take away the performances. I'm just on because I'm annoyed at Gabby for calling him a disgrace, to be honest. I think it's bang out of order. I think what he's done in his career, he's earned the right to be there.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why?
How's he not earned the right? How's he not earned the right? He scored 28 goals last season. He's 41, Gabby.
So?
What age did you retire?
What
age did you retire?
What age did you start playing professional football yourself, mate? Yeah, pipe down.
Me, mate.
Pipe
Don't
down.
worry about me, mate.
Don't go there, mate, when you haven't kicked the football in your life, okay? Settle down.
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah,
I know what it's
settle
about.
down.
Don't worry about that.
Settle down.
No, you're a disgrace for calling him a disgrace.
No problem.
Honestly,
No,
it's unbelievable.
Look, in fairness, Jack, we stood up for Cristiano. He said he had a wonderful, marvellous career. Nobody earns the right to play at a World Cup finals at 41 just because what you've achieved in the past. No one stops time. And you could see him last night. I mean, he was doddering around in attack. He could not raise a gallop. Time has caught up with him.
Jack still wants him started in the next World Cup as well.
Absolutely right. He's still producing. But there's loads of top... No, I'm saying Messi walks about, but he's still producing at the World Cup, which is fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But to say that he's not earned the right, he hasn't. He is a phenomenon.
But he's not anymore.
41 years of age.
But he's not anymore.
Unbelievable. You know how hard it is to keep yourself in shape.
But he's not anymore.
But you,
Jack, surely
it's not a modelling competition.
Jack,
it's a
he'd
football
earned the right to play at previous World Cups, perhaps.
Competition, you'd be nowhere near it, Gabby.
Oh, no, okay. Send us a picture of yourself, mate. Let's rate you out of 10, mate.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
The Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com for all the latest odds and offers. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Ryan Douglas, talkSPORT Bet ambassador, has just...
Of course, the news, all the England fans, just after all the euphoria's died down, talkSPORT Bet currently have the best price for that, 7-2 to get a booking and miss the semi-final. I don't know if it's something you want to bet on, but of course it's a possibility. There's a picture circulating the internet right now of a fan who's DM'd Jude Bellingham, and he said, don't get into any funny business, don't defend your teammates, don't defend yourself, please don't cover your mouth, don't get involved. It's one of those things. I suppose, Sean, if you're a manager and you know that a star player all singing or dancing like Jude Bellingham, one yellow card away from suspension, that must be very difficult to manage.
So you don't take away his natural performance.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have just got to, maybe prompt him and go, look, just be steady, just be careful, but not take the animal that is within, because that makes him him.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's a tough call. Or you just leave him alone and just hope. hope that he chooses the right decision.
But even if he gets a card, Keir Stammer to the rescue. He's going to get in touch with you and make that call.
Very good.
You got to free our man. All right, so much for Jude. What about VAR? Where are we going for that?
Yeah, so I know you guys spoke about it at the top of the show. Such a huge decision that was. I personally thought it was a disgusting decision. I know you didn't ask, but it was a bad one in my books. And in true talkSPORT Bet fashion, because talkSPORT Bet is so talkSPORT DNA coded, you can bet on over 0.5 VAR reviews in the France-Morocco game tomorrow. The referee has to go to the monitor, but if he reviews it, it's just over evens right now, that price is. And of course, it's announced it's an all-Argentinian team that are refereeing this game tomorrow in that France game. I suppose you have to just assume there'll be integrity there. You can't make any assumptions, can you, this refereeing team?
Oh, we're getting...
Where are you going with that?
Listen, I'll let you read between the lines on that one. But, yeah, we have to, agree that there's going to be integrity there and they're going to do their job correctly, Jim.
Right, don't go to the monitor for me, Argentina.
I didn't have relations with that woman.
Oh, that's where we're straight towards that. What about the route to the final?
Yeah. Yes.
Are you going to tell us more about that?
Yeah, so you can bet on the finalists, who the finalists will be with talkSPORT Bet. And right now, and I'm saying this more as a rallying cry, not just to say the odds here, but to say to England, ignore the traders, ignore talkSPORT Bet. But the favourites to make the final right now is France and Argentina. They are top of the betting, so the traders and talkSPORT Bet are favouring Argentinians to go all the way.
A repeat of 22.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be, again, we love a narrative, and that would be a fantastic game at 3-1. But of course, we want England to do it, and they're second in the betting betting to make the final against France. They're 4-1. So again, just a rallying cry for the England players. If there's any listening, don't listen to the traders. Don't listen to talkSPORT Bet. You're second in the betting right now, but we believe in you.
We listen to you. That's the thing. Who's going to be in the final,
I'm
Sean?
amazed you can bet on the monitor. Well, someone.
How many times the ref will go to the monitor? Yeah. Who will be in the final, Sean? Who will make the final?
I want England to make it. I can't guarantee they will, but I definitely want them to make it. And I'd be. Well, France have just been. They just come into the tournament. We're all going, yes. They delivered, yes. They've given no reason at the moment to go, it's a no.
Right.
So that's the problem we face.
So for them to get there, they've got to beat Morocco and then beat Spain or Belgium.
I think we can get there, and then we've got to beat them.
Do you think England get to the final, Simon?
I do.
And if so, who will they play?
France.
Oh, there he is.
Right, okay. Fair dues. The boys say England.
4-1. 4-1. That's
4-1 for that.
Yeah.
England, France. I think a lot of people will go in that direction.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that will be the final as well. I have belief. I was a bit pessimistic at the start in New York. I was sat alongside you two, and I said, I'm getting that gut feeling. I've been hurt in the past, Jim, but here we are now, and I think, we can do it. That Mexico game as
What's changed, Ryan? If I may ask.
Being in the studio with you guys, that's what's done it for me. I'm feeling motivated now.
Ryan, brilliant. Great to have you with us. That was a look at the latest odds thanks to talkSPORT Bet. 18+, gambleaware.org.
The Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com to see all our latest sign-up offers. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Now, of course, we mentioned it earlier, Balogun Gate, the very fact that President Trump seemingly got involved, well, not seemingly, did get involved. Anyway, the upshot was a player who was ruled out of playing in a World Cup match ended up playing in that match. A US player, of course, didn't help them. They went out to Belgium. We engaged with this individual last week in New York, the executive director of the White House Task Force for the World Cup, Andrew Giuliani, and we engaged again on this. You're going to hear from him next. Trump, who I think I heard say at one stage he didn't know about the red card system, he still suggested
unfair.
that the referee at the heart of this, Rafael Claus, was a bit suspect. He's the president.
These were two great athletes that got tangled up, and this referee, who is a little bit suspect, if you check his past. I don't want to say that because I don't like to create controversy, but very suspect. And he gave him a red card. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't think it meant much. Then I started hearing that means he can't play in the next game, at least in the next game. And I related just that feel. I didn't tell him what to do. I can't tell him what to do, but and I don't believe he made the decision. I think it was a committee that made the decision. All I did was ask for a review. I didn't say you have to do this. This man is a smart, tough man, Johnny Infantino. He's a smart, tough man, and his stock has gone through the roof because the job he's done has been great.
See, now we have the length and breadth of it, right? Now we know the full length and breadth of it, right? So now we know the full length and breadth of it. We can eviscerate it because it deserves evisceration, right? When you listen to that, you think to yourself, it's absurd. But again, it takes me back to the position. And Trump says absurd things, but no one disputes the fact that he says lots of absurd things. And that in the context of sport.
But he's the president.
But people say lots of things. Lots of people say lots of silly things, right? But you'd expect him to say something better than this. But in a sporting context, he doesn't clearly know what he's talking about. But I tell you who does know what he's talking about is that snivelling sycophant that runs FIFA. He does know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And when you've got somebody that's running the game that doesn't uphold the values of the game and doesn't uphold the integrity of the game and then tells you that you're all stupid and there's nothing for you to see here, right? That's when people should have concerns. Forget Trump. Look at him.
Dan Thatcher, good afternoon. To the World Cup in a moment, but first we're told it's increasingly likely that Marcus Rashford starts the season at Old Trafford. Whilst both parties are still keen on a move, there are a lack of potential suitors, meaning integration back into the first team is firmly on the table. Rashford will have 3 weeks off after his England duties are concluded before returning to pre-season training at Carrington. Next, the debate still rages over whether Egypt were hard done by in their defeat to Argentina. A complaint's been made to FIFA by the Egyptian FA over the officiating in Atlanta. Here's former Nigeria defender William Troost Ekong.
Controversial, and I can't completely disagree with him because I think, things have been slightly favourable to some teams and some players, but they would be looking back and thinking that they should have probably tried to manage that game differently.
Egypt head coach Hossam Hassan, in the meantime, reckons the tournament's rigged in Argentina's favour, and he seems to have a supporter in Sam Allardyce.
Absolutely diabolical. You do wonder if he's... I'll say this, and I shouldn't really, but you do wonder whether it's rigged. You do.
And the man who masterminded England's exit from the 2018 World Cup has vacated his role. Croatia head coach Zlatko Dalic stands down after a 9-year tenure. His side were controversially beaten by Portugal in the round of 32. A reminder, the World Cup quarter-finals get underway tomorrow night with France versus Morocco, live here on talkSPORT.
talkSPORT News.
A former Chancellor claims Reform UK is being targeted by the deep state, and Donald Trump says the ceasefire with what he's calling Iranian scum is over. More from Sinead at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This summer, treat yourself to Bridgestone Turanza All-Season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Hot and sunny in the main this afternoon, wet in the far northwest.
Good afternoon, everybody. 2 minutes past 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. This is Wednesday, July the 8th. And it's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Sean Dyche. We are live on talkSPORT and live on YouTube and being watched, it seems, far and wide. People getting in touch from New York with me saying, we now watch the show and we listen to the show as well. And I'm thrilled about that. Talking about this World Cup, various things have happened along the way that have raised an eyebrow or two. That very much was the case last night when Argentina got back into it when it looked as if they would go out to Egypt. But if you remember, the USA were dumped out of the World Cup this week by Belgium. But much of the story centred around Balogun Gate. What is that? USA striker Folarin Balogun had his one-match suspension overturned this week, thanks in part to an intervention to FIFA by the US government. He initially received a straight red against Bosnia and a one-game suspension. It came to light that President Trump, no less, placed a call to FIFA President Gianni Infantino before the governing body eventually suspended the striker's ban for 1 year, which meant Balogun could play. He did play, and the Americans were put out by Belgium. But the fact of the matter is, how could that course of events actually have taken place? We spoke to the executive director of the White House Task Force for the World Cup, Andrew Giuliani, while Simon and I were out in New York, and I spoke to him again on this matter. And I put it to them that really there was only one place to start. Balogun's red card, which was then overturned after Trump's intervention. And then Andrew Giuliani and I got talking on that topic. Here he is.
Well, I think there were a couple different things. I think first and foremost, probably the misuse of the VAR, right? The fact that the process was wrong. It never should have been used for a contact foul to slow down. And then when you add the suspicious past allegations against the referee there of match fixing a few years ago in Brazil, specifically with irregular red cards, that obviously was an extremely suspicious 1-2 punch that U.S. soccer and frankly a lot of Americans, and I think those people that want fair play around the world thought was highly suspicious.
There were reports here that you yourself, along with US Soccer, were involved in creating a dossier to help overturn the red card decision. I mean, how strong was that case? What evidence did you use?
Well, look, I was not the one who was ultimately building the case. We did talk with US Soccer. And I know that there were other discussions that happened within government as well. And I think our concern more than anything was making sure that fair play was achieved on the field. So for us, we looked at, again, the past allegations of match fixing with this ref. We looked at the fact that this ref was alleged to match fix with irregular red cards, understanding that this was a scenario where there was an irregular red card issued because the process that was used was flawed and never should have been used. That combination ultimately led for involvement.
Andrew, I mean, the chief of all referees, Pierluigi Collina, has defended the referee in question. Do you still think that this referee in question was not fit to be in charge of that game?
Well, look, I would just say, why was the process used where VAR was used to slow down a contact play? We know that that's not allowed, so he obviously made a very, very big mistake there. Look, I don't know what his motive was for making that mistake. It could have just been human error. That happens with referees. But, you know, when we saw the past allegations along with that error, it certainly led to certainly questions from our perspective.
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, the FIFA Referees Committee statement says that the ref in question, Rafael Klaus, is one of the world's leading professional referees. Throughout his career, he's consistently demonstrated the highest standards of professionalism and integrity. This referee in the past, yes, was previously investigated by Brazilian authorities due to a parliamentary inquiry and was summoned as a witness to speak on match fixing. But this same referee was ultimately found not guilty of any wrongdoing by the Brazilian Football Confederation. So really there was a kind of nothing to see here situation regards this ref, which makes the call from President Trump to Infantino really redundant, did it not?
Well, I would say when you add the two things together, I mean, look, I think if this was a different scenario, let's say, I think that you would probably take a different view of this if this was a different team at a different time, right? If you had a referee that had been accused in the past of match fixing, specifically for issuing irregular red cards, right? Accused, but that ultimately was the accusation. And then you had the video assistant replay referee that was implemented wrongly, should not have been implemented for a contact foul and slowed down, and you marry those two facts together, I don't think people would be burying their heads in the sand if maybe they just didn't have this Trump derangement syndrome about them. But, you know, for us, and I think for President Trump more than anything, we try to achieve fair play. We know that fair play was achieved here. And we're very proud of this U.S. team, and we're very proud of the work that's been done to make this World Cup the most successful yet.
If you were concerned, though, about the referee Klaus and alleged match fixing, why didn't you speak up before the game if you were that concerned about the ref?
Well, frankly, look, I hadn't focused on referees' pass as part of my job, and I still don't. This is not something that I spend my time doing, right? I mean, so much of my time and focus is on the safety and security. It's on the visa processing. As we, said last time, it's the 19 ESTA countries that have that we've processed over 5 million visas for qualifying for the World Cup, or ESTAs for the World Cup. It's the wait times that are down. It's the transportation seamlessly around the United States of America, in spite of the fact that we know Europeans travel very differently, let's say, than Americans. That's where I spend my time focusing on as well. But look, we also understand that when there are serious allegations that end up happening, and by the way, this is not something that is unique to soccer in the United States of America. You've seen this with NBA referees. I think you saw the U.S. government last year intervene when there were a couple of baseball pitchers, the guy who throws the ball, for those that don't know, maybe across the pond, that came in that were, maybe on purpose throwing balls and strikes. So whenever we see allegations like this, we take this very seriously, because integrity is a very key part of our ethos here in the United States.
I think maybe a broader question, Andrew, from me to you is, do you think sporting decisions should ever be impacted by politicians, even if it is the President of the United States?
Well, I would go and point to something I think is a much graver decision that was made just a couple days ago, and Karl Starmer's intervention through diplomatic channels of not allowing the Mexico-England match time to be moved. In the round of 32 after the match, 3 Mexicans died in the celebration, and there were discussions about moving that match time from the evening to noon, so then that way you would have less risk of life to Mexicans. That's far graver when you actually think about the consequences and potential consequences that anything that happens on the pitch right there. So I would point you to that and see the immediate precedents in heads of state looking at something that happens potentially on the pitch.
So you're telling me that Keir Starmer stopped that game from being moved?
I'm telling you that the English government intervened to not have that match be moved.
Here, Andrew, regards the Balogun situation, do you understand the criticism that the president shouldn't really have lent on Infantino, and that Infantino maybe should have been stronger?
Well, I would first and foremost look again at the process. And I know that we haven't really addressed it. I've addressed it, but it hasn't been acknowledged. I think all the people that are criticizing the president, questioning this, haven't actually gone back and admitted that this process was wrong and flawed, right? At the very minimum. Again, we can argue about what the motives of the referee were. We could argue about his past. I mean, he does have these allegations against him for issuing irregular red cards, which allowed an investigation into match fixing, which is just, that's true. That's been part of the past. And then if these same people that may be criticizing the U.S. government would go and look and say, well, the process was improperly implied here. This should not have happened. This red card never should have been issued on procedural grounds. Then we could have an honest conversation about it.
Andrew, what would the president have done if Infantino had said, no, the Balogun suspension remains in place?
First off, look, I don't talk about private conversations with the president of the United States or others that I'm privy to. What I'll tell you, though, is it was U.S. Soccer who ultimately filed this appeal with the FIFA disciplinary committee. So, and also what I'll also tell you is the president and Gianni Infantino speak multiple times a week, especially through this World Cup. I think people have seen that Johnny's been in the office, in the Oval Office, almost as much as anybody over the last year and a half to try to achieve this great global event, which I know the United States has.
You'll be well aware the USA lost the game to Belgium. To some extent, this backfired on you, did it not? And the American team, and Balogun, and President Trump.
Yeah, well, I would look and say, look, Belgium was the better team yesterday. It was, look, good to see that both these teams got to be played with their full players. Belgium was faster and stronger. What I'll tell you, at least in terms of the character of this American team, and this is why I'm proud of them, right? After that, what had to be, a deflating loss, right? Probably one of the toughest to take of their careers. What did that team do? They got together on a circle in the middle of the pitch and they prayed together. These are men that in their lowest moment came together and thanked the good Lord. And we're honored that they represented the United States of America with such integrity, even in their lowest moments.
Andrew, interestingly, there's another thing to this. There is a suggestion that other federations might use the Balogun example to get red cards overturned. England have a situation, Jarell Quansah. He was red carded. Do you think Keir Starmer should be lifting the phone to Infantino just as your president did in the Balogun case?
I don't advise Keir Starmer. It's not my role to. I represent the United States government. But, I did notice a few days ago when Keir Starmer and the British government intervened in spite of the fact that people had deemed that it would be safer to play that match at noon.
Yeah, but I mean, you'll be well aware, though, that other federations will think, well, if the president can sway Infantino to allowing Balogun to play, then our guy, in this instance, Quansah, should play. You know where I'm going with it.
you're assuming that a conversation that the president and Johnny had any influence over this decision. I think that's it's a difficult assumption to make from your standpoint.
If President Trump had no influence on Gianni Infantino, what was the purpose of making the call?
Well, they talk all the time, as I said, 2 times a week, 3 times a week throughout this, and they have a very good friendship. So I won't speak, I don't talk about the president's private conversations and what he does or does not say. What I'll tell you is his vision in landing this World Cup back in 2018 during the 45th presidency and the execution of this incredible World Cup this year could only be done to the degree that it is by one president, and that's Donald J. Trump.
What did you think when you saw the Belgian players, Andrew, doing the Donald Trump dance to celebrate a goal?
Look, they were the better team on the pitch yesterday, and as President Trump said, they should feel proud about the way that they played in light of that. They were the better team, and you tip your cap to them. So I think, again, and this is why I'm so proud of this U.S. team, they obviously didn't have their best stuff yesterday, right? You could see they were a little slower than they were. Passes weren't quite hitting the way they were. But the character that they showed as men, in spite of the fact that it wasn't their best day, I think that tells you a lot about these guys, and that's why I'm proud of them.
Are you hoping Mauricio Pochettino stays in charge of the team?
So Coach Pochettino is somebody who's become a friend. He's obviously a great coach and a great motivator. I think the U.S. would be served fantastically well if Coach Pochettino leads them forward.
When you look at it now, and we see that the U.S. team went out, and they went down fighting, Andrew, as you rightly say, what do you want the legacy of this tournament to be for your country, ideally?
Well, I think we look at what the legacy has been of this, and it's really the world's love affair with the United States of America. And we see this through all the different cultures, all the different teams that have been able to come to the United States and have a fantastic time, experience it. Look, we talked about it last week, from the Scots in Boston to the Norwegians. They're still rowing on to the quarterfinals. It's been amazing, and I think it's this unbelievable opportunity for the world to see what the United States of America is all about. The U.S. is one of the most welcoming place in the world, in spite of the lies that people have been told. And the way the president views this, and always has viewed this, is we want to make sure that we welcome the world that want to come and contribute to the United States of America, whether it's for a soccer tournament or whether it's for something more than just a soccer tournament, while making sure that those bad actors and those people that want to cause harm to U.S. citizens and our international visitors have no opportunity to come to the United States.
And that was my chat with the Executive Director of the White House Task Force for the World Cup, Andrew Giuliani. Simon, myself and Sean will pick over the bones of that next. Stay with us.
Are you surprised that Barcelona signed Anthony Gordon? They let Rashford go. They brought Anthony Gordon in. When you look at you just brought Barcelona into the equation. They're now looking at what they're looking at. They won the league last year. Madrid are coming again with better players and building again. Are you surprised they've gone out and spent 75 million quid on Anthony Gordon?
You know that Andy Gordon was in Everton and we promoted him a lot. So then I can say, yes, I am happy because he has gone. The prices, I don't talk about prices because football is crazy now with the prices. In terms of the potential of Anthony, I think Anthony, you know that he talks very good Spanish.
Indeed.
So he was learning Spanish, he was talking with us, with my staff, and after in Newcastle also with the staff. So I think he has an advantage. And you can see the first game he didn't do well, but the last game he was doing much better with England.
Yeah.
He has pace. He can score goals. And the time that he was with us, I don't know if I told you about the story of Miami. We played a friendly in Miami against Millonarios de Bogotá, and he was very hot, very, very hot. And he was on the bench, and he came from the bench in the last 50 minutes, and he couldn't run after 50 minutes. So, sorry, in the second half, after 50 minutes, he couldn't run, and he was very hot. And then we were talking with him about his fitness, and then he said, "Oh, his pace is there. He's very good. He has 37 kilometers per hour, so he's really fast." The problem was his stamina. And then he started working specifically with his stamina, and he improved it a lot, and they sold them later on for 40 million. So I think at this time he was not going with the under-21s. And I was asking him, I said, "Anthony, why you don't go with the under-21s?" And he told me, because they didn't see me now, how I'm working now. So I think at this time, this period, I don't know in the last, if you say, few months, his mentality was more a hard worker, and he had the talent, he has the ability. We have a game after the training sessions to finishing, and who was the best? And normally it was Richarlison and him. Always he was there with Richarlison. So means that he can finish, he can score goals, he has pace. What he has to be is more consistent.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Sean Deitch, and we're live on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. For all your trade or DIY projects, first stop, Toolstation. If you were listening, and I hope you were, in the last 15-20 minutes, you would hear for the second time during these World Cup finals ourselves in conversation with Andrew Giuliani, Executive Director of the White House Task Force for the World Cup. And of course, we were centering on the sequence of events which saw USA striker Folarin Balogun having his one-match suspension overturned during the week, thanks in part to an intervention to FIFA by the US government in the person of President Donald Trump. Balogun played against Belgium. Belgium beat the USA and Balogun, and the USA and Balogun went out. So we were picking over the bones of that process. And again, Andrew Giuliani was more than happy to talk to us about it. Simon, he kept on referencing Rafael Klaus, the referee who was in charge of the match against Bosnia, the match during which the striker Folarin Balogun was sent off, hence a one-match suspension and the overturning of it. Incidentally, Sean, you remember that incident?
Yeah.
And you think Balogun deserved to go?
Yeah, I mean, the modern game, it's a sending off.
Yeah.
In the old days, it'd be considered probably more like an accident, but at the end of the day, it's a sending off.
Yes. And the US officials, in the person of Giuliani, continually suggesting that maybe Klaus isn't of a sufficient pedigree to be refereeing at this level. Klaus, we know, was previously investigated by Brazilian authorities due to a 2024 parliamentary inquiry. He was summoned as a witness to speak on match fixing A number of Brazilian clubs, including Botafogo, had voiced their concerns regarding his in-game decisions, along with alleged patterns of irregular cards in top-flight matches. Klaus was ultimately found not guilty of any wrongdoing by the Brazilian Football Confederation. And Klaus remains, Simon, one of FIFA's most respected referees, even in the eyes of Pierluigi Collina, possibly the best referee we've ever seen. So again, Giuliani seems to be going in the wrong direction when it comes to finger pointing in Klaus' direction.
But he's not finger pointing, he's creating straw man arguments because he's redirecting from the entire purpose of the conversation, which is FIFA's responsibility is to uphold the integrity of the game. They didn't do their job. FIFA were influenced by a leader of a state deciding that the outcome of a game or a particular circumstance of a game is something that he didn't particularly concur with, even though he doesn't have the faintest idea what he was talking about, because we listened to Trump. Andrew Giuliani, who was admirable in his robust defence of the position, which is everything that Donald Trump says must be right, talked utter nonsense and redirected throughout the entirety of the conversation. The process is not about whether the player was sent off. In football, things happen on a field that people don't like and don't agree with, right? When you take the game into a situation where the integrity and the authenticity of the regulator is brought into pass, no other country could have made a phone call to FIFA and got a decision overturned. Now,
maybe no other country would have dared to make a phone call.
I don't
to get involved in the process.
There's part of me that doesn't blame the Americans for doing it because I don't hold them responsible for what FIFA do. I hold FIFA responsible for what they do. You would expect a degree of more sophistication and elegance from a host nation, but let's put the price into the fact the Americans have their own worldview. They have their own worldview, and you listen to that, and part of it I admire about the patriotism and the desire to make sure that their country is protected, and they have this deep-seated belief in their own values. But when you see something which is nonsense, you've got to call it for what it is. This is not about being able to defend an indefensible position. This is about the integrity of the game. And the people that have let us down are not Donald Trump and his stooges. It is FIFA. FIFA have a choice. Now, the question should be not why did Donald Trump feel that he could make a call such as that? Why did FIFA decide to break their own processes to convene a process that does not exist? The red card position is that you're sent off, you have no ability to rescind. They commissioned, and they're off redirecting as well. Well, it wasn't us that did it, it was an independent commission. Yeah, but you convened an independent commission, and your own rules don't provide for that.
But Giuliani also said, Simon, that Infantino was not influenced by Donald Trump along this process.
But it's a silly,
do you believe that?
But that's a silly, isn't it?
Do you believe that?
Well, but everyone with a pair of ears and eyes knows that he was. Otherwise, why was a panel put in place? The FIFA's governance does not provide for an independent commission to be set up to rescind red cards. So why was one set up? One was set up because the President of the United States, that doesn't have the faintest idea what he was talking about, and his own representation alongside him when he was waxing lyrical about watching a red card, not knowing what he meant, and understanding that it actually meant someone getting sent off for the following game was of unfair consequence, so he has no understanding of the rules, made a phone call to Infantino, and Infantino commissioned off the back of that phone call an independent commission. And anybody that thinks anything other than that is stupid, and we are being told things by people that think that everyone's stupid. Infantino should be challenged.
Giuliani will say that assumption is wrong. That to assume in any way that Trump influenced Infantino, that would be wrong.
But anyone with half a brain will realise that that's nonsense.
Of course, that's why I was pushing on it.
You can turn around and say that the moon's made of cheese and prove that it's not.
Yeah.
And I can't fly to the moon and prove it's not made of cheese, but I know it isn't. So the bottom line is I sit here and say, Trump phoned somebody. There is no process. Do you accept, Giuliani, there's no process available for rescinding a red card? For your country, for any other country, there's no process. And as a result of a conversation that was had between the President of the United States and FIFA's General Secretary, a process was set up specifically for this. No one else could have achieved it. No other country would attempt to achieve it, and no other country would have received it. And to suggest that Keir Starmer was the reason why the Mexico game was kept in its original position is an utter untruth. And what they do is they create these wonderful straw arguments, and because they go hard and go home, the old saying, go hard or go home, everybody has to acquiesce to it.
And in the middle of all this, Infantino tried to absolve himself of any involvement in this process as well. I mean, have you ever heard anything like this, Sean?
I was discombobulated by the whole conversation. I was like, at the end of the day, it's about someone getting sent off. That's...
Yeah.
who arguably deserved it. I
and
know we can argue
deservedly
it.
were sent
Yeah,
off.
I would hedge my bets and say yes, he deserved to get sent off.
And do you think the Balogun situation impacted the USA?
I was just going to
dressing
say,
room?
I think Simon articulated brilliantly about the background and why someone like Infantino has sort of not got out of jail on this one. But let's face it, Trump's kind of got all the heat. But going back to the football, somewhere in there's some football.
Yeah.
Look at the effect that had. It absolutely put so much pressure on their side. The manager, so you could tell by the way they played, they looked defocused, they looked confused. Some of the decision making, you're not telling me they didn't all think, oh, wow, what's going on here? In the camp. And because of the world we live in now, they'll be getting the constant messages, friends, family, social media, agents, everything going, what is going on, what's going on, what's going on?
Balogun, rightly or wrongly, is always going to be remembered for this.
Yeah, and it's not even so out of his hands. I'm sure I'm sure he felt he shouldn't have been sent off like all players do.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm sure the manager might have
Is there
felt that.
anything in you, if you'd been Pochettino, might you have said, Sean,
Well,
do you know what? We're not going to start him.
I don't presuppose that Donald Trump goes, all right, Poch, we won't bother, mate. You know what I mean? So I think Pochettino said to him, I wouldn't do that, Mr. President. Yeah, I don't think that'd happen.
Anyway.
I can't say I felt sorry for the team because that's wrong. And I don't want to belittle them.
No.
But I think it put undue pressure on the manager, Pochettino, and the team, players, staff, everyone. I think put undue pressure on them. But the marvel of life, the balance of life is maybe they didn't win through, because now, guess what? If they did win through, we'd all been going, what on earth is going on?
And Balogun had scored the winner.
Oh, goodness.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? Exactly.
That was the story of Balogun Gate from start to finish. The Belgians carry on in this tournament. That's why they were dancing a la the Trump dance after winning 4-1 against the USA. It's 2:30.
I can't believe they're moaning about losing.
No, you're right.
They're moaning about the decisions, and I've seen all the interviews after the game.
Right.
And can someone remind them that they were winning 2-0? Like, you've only got yourself-
What is that? I mean, the goal that wasn't given, and it was at 1-0 at the time. What an unbelievable goal! It was one of the best goals you'll see in the World Cup. Team goal down that right hand side, and I think who was it that was fouled? Was it Martinez that was fouled? I can't remember who.
It was over in the far corner.
It was in the far corner. Anyway, whoever it was, right? He does step on his toes.
Do you think you should go back to it?
I think the fact that Argentina didn't actually regain possession of the ball and it was a continuous attack, I think on that occasion, I think it's fair. I think it's a foul.
I know, but like so much has to happen.
Yeah, but Argentina
so much has to happen. He skipped
of
past
course.
3 Argentina players. Like
nutmegged one
of them, and you kind of look at it and go, hold on a minute, right? All right, that is a foul over in the corner, but he's run the length of the pitch, skipped past 3 Argentina players who can't make a tackle, and then they put one across the box and they score, and you go, hold on a minute, you've had 3 opportunities to win the ball back.
Yeah, they have. It was
and how much advantage do you want?
Well, there's no law.
Maybe if you skip 1 tackle, but he's run the length of the pitch.
Right,
yeah, come on. I don't
hear
know
what
how
you're
that's fair.
Do you know what?
I have got an issue with
do you know what? I absolutely hear you loud and clear, but we both agree it's a foul.
Yeah, okay, but then Argentina might as well just stop playing.
Yeah, well, you can't because the foul's not given.
I know, but if they believe it's a foul and the VAR are going to go all the way back to it, Argentina might as well just stop and go,
I don't know.
Can't score, it don't matter because it's going to go back. He's gone past 3 players.
Unbelievable run. That's one of the best goals that's never going to stop.
Ronaldo Nazario. Need I say more? He's won it twice, played in 3 finals, was once its all-time leading goal scorer. But let me tell you about a day that lives in infamy in World Cup and Brazilian history. The year is 1998 and Brazil are cruising through the tournament in France. They've scored 14 goals in 6 games, 4 of them courtesy of R9. Brazil are favourites for the final, where they'll face the hosts at the Stade de France. But just hours before kick-off, while at their training base, Ronaldo suffers what's described as a convulsive fit. He's rushed to hospital, where doctors don't find anything wrong with him, so he insists he'll play. Back at the stadium, France are warming up, but Brazil, they're still in there. It's chaos. The Brazilian FA have just been given a team sheet without Ronaldo's name on it. But less than an hour before kickoff, a taxi arrives at the stadium, Ronaldo gets out and is shoved back into the 11. Brazil lose 3-0. It's a worldwide scandal. Ronaldo even ends up in front of Brazil's National Congress. He thinks he was suffering under the mental and emotional pressure and he just collapsed. It was truly incredible and made his redemption story 4 years later so much sweeter.
Back to the World Cup in a second. Let's head back down to Wimbledon and find out what the latest is there. Here's Lisa.
Over on court number 1, Linda Noskova is leading Elise Mertens 6-3, 3-4 on serve in that second set. And temperatures still climbing at SW19. We're already over 30 Celsius. It's worth mentioning the cauldron of centre court, always hotter. Very little air here at the moment, unless we're talking about Ukraine's Marta Kostyuk, who is breezing past Jasmine Paolini at the moment. She leads 6-3, 4-2. When this match is complete, we'll see Arthur Ferry coming out to represent Great Britain as he takes on Flavio Cobolli of Italy.
Thank you very much indeed, Lisa. It's time for this.
talkSPORT's Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
Yeah, we're going to look at one of the upcoming games with Village Hotels. In fact, it is the first of the quarterfinals. It's in Boston, and it's tomorrow, a 9 p.m. kickoff. It's live on talkSPORT, and it's France versus Morocco. Simon, I think it's fair to say you and I went to Brazil-Morocco. That was one of the first games we went to out there, Sean. In fact, we were sitting in a box with some of Hakimi's family, who were deliriously happy when the Moroccans went ahead in that game. But you couldn't help but be impressed by how Morocco went about it, could you?
Yeah, in the first half, I thought they were very impressive. I think a lot to do with how poor Casemiro was as well in the middle of the park. And I think the second half, they laboured a little bit more. Obviously, they came in with a reputation of being a very good side, and they've got players in that side that would cement that. But I think the French have got far too much for them. I mean, I think in this game, you'll see the French. The Moroccans will have a go at the French, but that will suit the French more than playing against a Paraguayan side that wanted to bank up and kick them off the park.
Yeah.
They won't have the same challenge with Morocco. But I think the French will have way too much for them.
What do you think, in crude terms, Sean, to beat the French, you need to kick the French, like the Paraguayans did?
No, I think, unless they go out the way they've been going, because they've been going well, and they might say, right, we're sticking to our game plan. They may not part of the bus in old money, but, will they be more tactical on the defensive side of things? Possibly. I certainly would be surprised they play completely open. I'd be very surprised at that. The bigger picture for me with the Moroccan side is I was looking 2017, 77th in the world, 41st, 22nd, now 6th in the world. What a journey that is for them in their footballing way. True. Yeah, you know what I mean? What a journey that is. So, yeah. Going off piece, because I appreciate we're talking about the game. France, for me, will win it. Can Morocco win it? Yes, they can. I think they'll have to change their style and deliver a different performance, but they can win it. But that journey for them is incredible, I think, from 2014 to now.
It just shows they have been going in the right direction for a considerable period of time. You can watch the games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com. Plus, for a chance to win a Village Hotel VIP experience for the World Cup final at a Village Hotel near you, head to talksport.com/win.
talkSPORT's Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
Sean, you will be amused at this. Maybe not amused at this, but you'll certainly realise the direction in which I'm going to go. Patience in football, from owners to managers. Growing impatience, it would seem, in football. It seems to be a regular theme these days. Some managers last longer than others. Rafa Benitez joined Simon and myself yesterday. And of course, up until recently, his latest port of call was in Greece, in Athens, with Panathinaikos, now out of football again, having moved on from Panathinaikos. And the theme of this growing impatience in the game came up with Rafa.
The average period is 7 months now for a coach in a lot of countries. So 7 months, you don't have too much time to prepare anything. I remember when I signed for Liverpool, I signed a 5 years contract, and they told me in 3 years we want to compete. So imagine now in 6 months. So here is an example. Now we did everything that we have to do to improve the team, to sign young players for the future. But if you cannot win against Olympiacos in the derby and you cannot win the title, then we need to bring someone else. So it's very common, and it's a little bit sad, no? Because when you work seriously, then you need more time. But okay, football is changing a little bit.
So, Sean, managers need time. Is that a classic football myth, or is it reality?
They do. It's both. It's a myth. It is a reality. They do. Most often. For me, I've said in many interviews down the last, certainly down the last, I'm going to throw out your 5 years. Life's become like that. And football stadiums are full of people, I believe, that give a measure of life. The mixture in a football stadium gives a measure of life. Everyone wants a fridge delivering yesterday. They don't repair, they just renew. You know, everyone wants everything. You look on social media. I've only just joined it, as you know. People watch things 6 seconds, bang, move. 6 seconds, bang, move. 6 seconds, bang, move. No different in life. You know, it does leak into your psyche, for me anyway. In a stadium now, what's all this booing? You get people booed off at half time for no particular reason. You're looking going, what are they booing them off for? You know, and I'm going, because the impatience in. And by the way, half the thing I've noticed in stadiums, obviously, because when I came out, I watched a couple of games. How many people are actually watching the game? You know, look at their phone, flicking through things. And all that. So,
true.
So I just think it goes into the psyche of probably the world, but certainly a nation of football fans.
Yeah.
My point being that if you're now a football fan and you're watching a manager, very quickly you're going to go, that's not what I wanted. And I wanted more. Everyone wants more for less. And that's the way, I think personally, that's the way society's going. And I'm part of it. You know, I'm a part of society.
Of course. And we all are.
And we are. And
I
do it myself. I find myself doing it myself. And I have to force myself to go, what are you doing, you fool? Put your phone down. You know what I mean? And you don't need it every second of every day. And I'm currently.
It's a fact, Simon, isn't it? Sean is right. Society has changed because of social media and the desire to take part in social media.
Yeah, but we're asking about who fire managers, not people who.
Well, our owners on occasion influenced by what they read on social media.
And is the pressure of that goes into the owners, goes into the directors of football, and suddenly they go, no, we need to change it again. We need to, the locals have going.
I can't imagine someone like you would ever allow yourself to be influenced by it.
I didn't have social media. I fired managers because I didn't have a belief in them. Most managers get fired because the ownership doesn't have a belief in them. And that is either a belief that's been lost as a result of what's going on around them, i.e. the manager's performances, or there's an element of their outside influence that comes into play. I don't dispute it, because many owners are not focused on what's going on behind the scenes. They're focused on what other people might be saying about their football club. And there's an element of ownership that does that, yeah. But most owners will fire, because it's a ball ache to fire a fire manager. It's not a game. Nobody wants to fire a manager. First of all, you're admitting you made a mistake. Second of all, you're having to pay for that privilege. So it's not something that's done lightly in people's minds.
I don't think you're admitting you made a mistake anymore. I think you're getting cheered and lauded and applauded for making that mistake.
Yeah, but
well done, you've changed.
Having been an owner, I can tell you that people that are owners, whether it's Egbali or whether it's other owners, that look at it as a failing on their own part.
What year were you owner? Last time you owned it?
10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's changed, though, hasn't it?
Not really.
No, not at all. You don't think the media's changed from 10 or 15 years ago?
Not particularly.
The pressure on owners?
Not particularly.
I think it's changed enormously. I think owners are under more pressure than ever. It used to be the manager, really, straight to the manager. Now I think they come in for the director of football and the owner sometimes. I'm going, rightly or wrongly.
I hear the same
I've
things.
seen that.
I hear the same things from the owners. It's irrelevant whether I was doing it 10 or 15 years ago. The metrics haven't changed. There might be a few noughts on the end of things, and there might be a less of a time. I'm hearing the same arguments for 25 years. Managers need more time. Managers need to have... Of course they need some time. Of course they need time. You can't put a manager in a door and not... If you are consistent in your approach, what I think is unfair for managers is when owners are not consistent. If an owner says one thing and does another, then that's an inconsistency. If an
Where
owner...
does that inconsistency come from? Simon, where does that come from? And that usually comes from pressure from the fans and pressure from the media.
Well, but owners...
I was a good example. I'm not crying in. I'm just giving you a fact because you know this because you covered it. But on the same day I was nominated as Manager of the Month, I was told I should be sacked by the fans and by the media. Pundits now going, well, they should change it. And I'm going, I just got voted for Manager of the Month. That's how much it's changed. And I actually made a joke. I said, well, there's a new one on me. Been in football all my life, and that's a new one on me.
Right.
I wasn't offended by it because I'm a realist. I go, that is how the truth of football, what used to be, has changed, in my opinion. That's how much it's
having
changed.
their say.
Yeah, exactly. And I disagree with Simon, not for the wrong reasons, by that. I agree with him. I know he owned a football club, so I've never questioned that. I just think it's changed. I think ownerships have changed. I know some of the owners now, and I appreciate you do as well, by the way. And they tell me, they go, Sean, I got into it naively thinking it'd be, fun and a bit of glory and we'd do this and we'd do that. And within 6 months or whatever, they're going, my goodness, the demand on me is massive.
But we all think that. We all think it's a miserable existence. Every owner, it's not a business. It's not a business, it's a charity. What is business about football? How many football clubs make any money? So what are people in football for? What did I go into football for when I look back on it? Nation states that want influence, but the ownership of football clubs...
What did you have?
Oh, because it was a challenge. I was a young 30-year-old man. I thought I could build a business out of it. It's not a business. Football's not a business. The only people that make money out of football are players and managers and agents. Football club owners very rarely make money.
Well, unless you're the Burnley board. Unless you're the Burnley board, they've made a few quid, trust me.
Well, they're one of the very limited few.
No, they are.
But you don't think things have changed, Simon, with the times? I mean, there's a message. Sean's right. Look at Downing Street. I mean, it's true, really. 6 prime ministers in 10 years.
Which is
it's
bizarre.
the new norm.
It's bizarre, isn't
it? We want disposable success.
Yeah, I don't dispute
Consumers,
that.
owners, it's not sustainable.
I don't dispute that. But we're not talking about the disposability of it. We're talking about the reasons why it happens. And ultimately, in this situation, we've got a society that's created by certain aspects of the media, and we allow that to go on, and so we get the kind of leaders that we deserve. We get the leaders that we deserve, right? Because the public obviously want this kind of behaviour. Otherwise, it wouldn't be tolerated.
Yeah.
But in the great scheme of things, the real reasons why managers are sacked, one way or t'other, is invariably someone has lost faith in the future. I was talking to Rafa Benitez yesterday. It's not a case of you only got 7 months. It's because it's about what comes next. If I'm an owner, I'm looking at what I've seen so far. But is my belief that what I'm seeing so far going to get better? Because I'm not firing you for what you've done. I'm firing you about the concern about what I think you're going to do going forward, which is you're not going to make it any better. Where I've arrived at this point, whether it's 7 months or 18 months or 12 months, I don't think, by what I've seen from you and what I'm hearing outside, I don't deny the background noise is relevant as well, but what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing get me to the position where I don't think it's going to get any better with you. So I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to allow you to fail fast.
In any other business,
is that fair, Sean?
In any other business, only football, I'll be stunned if they put a business model together and then just keep changing it every few months. I'll be amazed in any business. If you apply business knowledge, I don't know about business. I'm not a businessman, but I've spoke to many businesses. Very rare have I found when they go, oh yeah, we just keep changing the chief exec. Said every few months we just keep changing it. When they've got a product that they know what the product is, they know the truth fit, and they go, no, we just keep changing the
But I can speak to that quite coherently. In any other business where you bring someone in to effect change and 12 months later there is no change, you make a change.
Yes, and I understand that.
No, but what change? Hang on, what change are you measuring it by? Though this is the difference. This is the difference between football.
But you've got
They're measured purely on do you win or don't you win. I know some managers who players will tell you have been farcical in the way they manage their delivery, their training. People are late, they run mock, and they've been very successful. Then other managers have been unbelievably pure in what they've done, their professionalism, the way they've run it, and they don't win enough games.
And they've been.
Yeah, and they so that is the truth of the market.
I mean, measurement's not difficult. You put measurement down.
Let me jump in for a second. We'll take a quick break because many people having their say on this. It's intriguing to say the least. Stay with us. We're back after this.
Egyptians afterwards were shouting "fix."
No.
Not for me.
I was confused, me, all the outrage.
Yeah.
I don't think it was 2 fouls that they're saying weren't given. I don't think they were fouls.
No, I didn't.
McAllister on the heads, and then the Salah one, I didn't think they were both fouls. I feel like the Sandro Martinez, there was 2 fouls. There was a shirt pull, but it was more for me. If you look at it closely, it gets caught on his right, like sort of Achilles.
Yeah.
So there was like 2 fouls on Sandro Martinez.
From a footballing perspective, you didn't want that Egyptian goal to be ruled out because it was brilliant. But I saw why it was. I thought the McAllister, contact was fleeting with the Egyptian inside the box. Was nowhere near the ball either.
Salah either.
And Salah was
like that.
Salah was looking for it.
Exactly.
Don't blame him, but I thought he was looking for it. And Egypt should look at themselves. They're 2-0 up.
Yeah.
They're 11 or 12 minutes away. Well, a bit more than that with added time. They had an unbelievable opportunity.
Yeah.
And they just...
You've got to hang on, haven't you?
Grasp it.
I'm sorry though, Jeff. Like, watching the game, mate, this is the difference when people try and compare Messi and Ronaldo. It's not about Ronaldo, but in one of his quietest games, he still turns up, Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
Very quiet first half. When his country, his nation needs him, forget about the penalty miss. Anyone can miss penalties. He turned up, gets on the ball, gets the first assist for Romero. And then if you look at the second goal, Jeff, he's literally, I've seen the close-up clip, he's screaming for the ball, give it me, crosses one, blocked, crosses it again. And that finish, do you know how hard that finish is, Jeff? That is not an easy finish. To keep that down, to even relax and not just come sprinting forward like most players were. Honestly, this guy, no words for him. And even forget the goal and assist. How many little runs did he have second half where he's like, okay.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
In some ways, it's virtually perfect in the studio, isn't it? Former manager, top-level manager, former football club owner. In Sean Dyche, in Simon, of course, I'm talking about these two different sides of the football industry. But off the back of Rafa Benitez and this growing impatience of football, Rafa didn't last long there with Panathinaikos in Greece, and he's now looking for a new job should one come along. Managers needing more time. Is that the classic football myth, or is it reality? Simon, what is it? Is it the myth that seems to persist, or is it indeed a reality? Have you ever sacked somebody and regretted it, thinking, I should have given that guy more time?
No. I've sacked people wishing I'd given them less time. Because I believe emphatically, if you're going to fail in life, fail fast. Utilize it, because your job is to give them the support. If you're not consistent as an owner, if you start with one relationship and you move the goalposts, it's not fair on a manager. If you are consistent in what you're doing and you are consistent in what your expectation and you don't move the goalposts, but obviously when you get new information, if you work with somebody, when you guys walk through the door, right, you've got two things. First of all, you interview them in a public domain, so you've got a perception of it, like any other job. You don't interview someone you've got no perception of. You know what these guys are because you've seen them buzzing around the industry, hanging around waiting for a job. Right, so then you interview them, and they present themselves in the best possible way, and they often try to find some degree of relationship between what you're doing and what they're doing. And if they're an honest manager, and lots of them are very honest, they'll turn around and say it's not fit for me. Some managers won't because they want the job, and then they'll tell you they're going to do something, and then they'll do the polar opposite of it. Right?
And Sean, what should add to this?
I'm interested in this. What were you, as an owner, what were you hiring them on? You hiring them on your gut feel? Were you hiring them on what they'd done?
All of them. All of the above. I was hiring them on their reputation. I was hiring them on my personal judgment of them. I was hiring them in interviews, putting them in the most invidious, difficult position I possibly could, making them as uncomfortable as I possibly could.
So then very quickly you just said you should have given them less time.
On the managers, he asked me, did I ever regret firing somebody and not giving them more time?
You would have given them less time.
The managers that I fired, I wish I'd given them less time because they didn't merit it. Yeah, but then Peter Taylor didn't merit it. Trevor Foster didn't merit it.
Do you self-reflect on your decision?
Yeah, my mistakes. Yeah. Of course, I said that from the outset.
I'm always genuinely interested.
But that's what I said. That's why you disagreed with it.
No, I didn't disagree. I wasn't being a narc. I just asked you a question.
You said that owners don't reflect upon it as a failure. I'm telling you that owners do reflect.
No, I asked you if you do. I didn't say nothing about it.
No, you did a moment ago in the conversation when you said that people get actually
the tapes.
Look, repeat it back to you. You said that owners are lauded and applauded for making these decisions, and the fans get behind it. I'm telling you that owners, when they make a decision to fire a manager, it is a personal failing. It's a bloody ball ache because they've got to start all over again, and it costs them money on the way out. So it's an irritation and an aggravation, and they don't like it. And the idea is to bring somebody in to get the outcomes that you want. To, of course, most sensible. Now, if you've got the people that are throwing money around like confetti that don't care,
that's different.
That's a different dynamic.
That's different.
But the guys that run football clubs now, nations.
What's a timescale though? Do you get? I mean, what is a timescale? So when you hire a manager, right, the truth of what you've got must be there, right? You, the owner, the board, whoever you advise, and you go, what is the truth of what this new manager's got to operate in? What is our goals and what are the truth of where our goals lie? That's where the hardest bit of football is now for managers, because they often tell you this, and then you deliver it, and they go, no, but we wanted that, and you go, but you told me you wanted this.
And that's
the hardest thing.
And that's unfair.
And
that's inherently unfair.
Yeah.
But also, you used an example, I don't know if it was during a break or it was on air, with Frank de Boer. Now, whatever Frank de Boer was or wasn't, he was culturally utterly wrong for Crystal Palace, for the group of players that they had there and for the way that he wanted to play. Now, something was lost in the conversation between Parish and Frank de Boer. Something in the original introduction of what they wanted was lost. In the same way, many years ago, that AVB was sold a pup by Abramovich because he was told to go into that dressing room and break up Cole, Lampard and Terry and get some control of that dressing room. And the moment he tried to do it, the players went hard against him and Abramovich sold him down the river and binned him off. Now, that's unfair, but that's a circumstance that owners often find themselves in and make those sort of decisions.
Right.
So the judgment call is that as best you possibly can with these guys, because they're public-facing and they get carried away with themselves, is to be able to try to find some continuity between what you want from them and what they want from you. And if you can do that, then you get a recipe for success most of the time.
Silly question, but I'll finish with it as we hit 3 o'clock. Is Simon the sort of guy as a football owner you could have got along with and worked for?
I think surprisingly we'd probably got on well because he knows I'm going to give him a real answer. Sorry, not a right answer. I'm going to give him the real answer, an authentic answer, the truth. You know, I don't spin things. I just tell you, if owners ask me things, I just say, this is what I see it. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to achieve. I back it with stats and facts. I back it with what's going on. I fill them in with the things that they should know. But I don't sneak about. They just ask me.
You never dress anything up.
I don't do off the record. I can't remember ever throwing a board member or an owner under the bus in interviews and that. I never blame them. I don't go, yeah, but I haven't got any money. I've lost my centre forward. What am I expected to do? I don't remember. Someone will find somewhere down my line of management, but I don't remember it. I don't remember ever doing that.
So it sounds to me like Sean's the sort of guy that you could have worked with.
Maybe. He's a bloody know-it-all, so who knows? But look, it's
by the way, speaking next to a know-it-all.
Stay in the lanes. No, I will never tell you how to pick a team. Stay in the lanes. And I'm happy with if a manager stays in his lane, which is his responsibility is to run the football team and to have a relationship with me. My responsibility is to get nowhere near him, get nowhere near his tactics, get nowhere near his training grounds, to get nowhere near what he does. Give him. I'm not going to have a dog and bark. I'm not going to pay these guys a lot of money and go.
Ownership is changing.
It is changing. I know. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. And I think ownership is changing in the wrong way. But that's because football is now a vessel. It's being used by everybody for something else. Money. Influence, kudos, all the things that you can imagine.
Very good. I believe both of you.
No, it's fair. No, it's fair.
How stupid am I?
No, that's not. Jim, I think there's a really fair debate there on the truth of the market that we're in.
Absolutely. I want to talk more about that and more specifically your time at Forest. We'll do that before we go at 4 o'clock. It's coming up to 3 o'clock. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Sean Dyche, and we're loving this. So are you out there, judging by the messages I'm getting. Spend £50 with Toolstation Club to score a reward stamp for your chance to win a holiday worth 10 grand.
Rate your free wind-up merchants on talkSPORT. Who are the top three? I would say you've now took the crown. It used to be Durham.
Right.
Durham was the wind-up merchant king of talkSPORT, wasn't he? You are now number one. You do realise that, right?
I don't wind people up.
What do you mean?
Okay, what have I done recently?
You wore a Mexican outfit and done Has Anyone Seen Mexico? And guacamole and pinatas and...
There was no Mexican.
You can't tell me you're not a wind-up merchant.
Not Jay.
You've got...
No, I get a bad rap, mate.
What do you mean? You've got a cowboy hat on?
No. I do get a bad rap, though.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to remind you of another one.
Go on.
Every time Scotland played, you had the other team's jersey on.
Yeah, that was bad luck. That was really bad luck on my part.
That bad luck was it?
Yeah. So they played Haiti, right? The first game they played Haiti. I said to the bosses, I'm going to put my hand in this bag and pull out a shirt. The first shirt pulled out happened to be the day before they played Haiti shirt. So I've got to go through with it. Next one was the Morocco. Well, I told you, mate, I spilled tea all over my coffee or whatever it was.
You don't think you're a wind-up merchant?
No, I'm just unlucky.
What about the Ange mask?
What about it?
Well, I'm just giving you examples of you winding people up.
Well, how's wearing an Ange mask winding people up? Who's getting wound up with that? Some of those are bad luck. Some of those I've had some cruel luck, mate. That coffee incident, mate. What can I do? Yeah. And now the Brazil shirt. What do you want me to do? I had to wear something. Can't come in here naked. The only
Sport.
I'm Dan Fletcher. Good afternoon. Marcus Rashford is increasingly likely to take part in pre-season training at Carrington. talkSPORT understands the expectation is he'll start the 26-27 campaign as a Manchester United player. Both parties remain keen on a move, though. The Egyptian FA has filed an official complaint to FIFA with profound questions over referees in their defeat to Argentina. Egypt head coach Hossam Hassan claims the tournament's rigged in Argentina and Messi's favour. Former England defender Graham Lasso understands the frustration.
The bigger problem for me is the fact that we've created an environment, both with VAR, the appeal system, and the lack of credibility that FIFA have got at the moment, that is allowing people, almost giving them justification to appeal retrospectively, because we saw what happened to Balogun. The damage that does to the credibility and integrity of the game is potentially massive.
Argentina face Switzerland next in the early hours of Sunday morning here on talkSPORT. Next, nervy times for those England players who were on a yellow card heading into Saturday's last day clash. Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice are among 5 on a booking heading to Miami. Former Premier League ref Chris Foy has told talkSPORT the referees won't necessarily know who's at risk of suspension.
I very much doubt it, Jeff. Speaking from a personal point of view, it was never something that you take into consideration. I think the people who will know they're on yellow cards are the players themselves, so they'll have to be mindful.
All yellow cards are wiped after this stage of the competition. Remember, England-Norway live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. Kick-off is at 10. Croatia head coach Zlatko Dalic has vacated his role. The man who oversaw England's exit from the 2018 World Cup ends a 9-year tenure. Feels like a long time ago now, but Croatia were beaten by Portugal in the round of 32. And British wildcard Arthur Ferry is about to get his Wimbledon quarter-final underway against Italian 9th seed Flavio Cobolli. We'll bring you regular updates from SW19 right here on talkSPORT.
talkSPORT News.
A 22-year-old from Essex has been jailed for 13 years for planning a mass gun attack, and councils are spending millions to private care homes to look after children. Sinead has more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Heatwave outside, oven inside. Stay cool this summer with a free aircon check. Book online or visit your local QuickFit today.
Patchy rain in the far northwest of Scotland. Very warm and dry for the rest of us with plenty of sunshine, the strongest of which in southern and central England.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is 6 minutes past 3 o'clock on this lovely, lovely warm afternoon, and it's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Sean Dyche, and we are all live on talkSPORT, live on YouTube as well, live wherever you want to find us on your TV, even Prime Video. We are live there, just as we were in New York for the last few weeks, and as we are now here in London. The World Cup rumbles on, but it really is clicking into gear. Who's going to win it? England, Argentina, France, Spain? Well, you pay your money, you take your chance when you put forward the name of a nation as to who you think will lift the famous trophy above their heads in just a few days from now. But here's the thing. We haven't seen the Russians play for a long time, representing Russia at a major football tournament, such as the World Cup, such as the Euros. We don't see Russian-born tennis players at Wimbledon at the moment representing their country because of the political situation. But now the International Olympic Committee has lifted its suspension of the Russian Olympic Committee, marking a significant step towards Russia being reintegrated into the Olympics for LA 2028. In a moment, talkSPORT's Olympic correspondent Michael Waydock will join us. But this is the IOC president, Kirsty Coventry, on this very topic of lifting the ROC suspension.
We wanted to ensure all athletes have the possibility to compete at the Olympic Games and not be held responsible for their government's actions. And I believe that this is what this decision speaks to. It allows for Russian athletes to take part in sport competitions, but we've also been very clear that we do not condone any violence and war around the world, and we will continue with that stance. We also made it very clear that we would not be changing any of the recommendations when it pertains to state officials of Russia, and we would not be taking the decision at this point to look at any potential events in Russia. So none of that has changed. That will all still stay in place. And we will review the protocols around the anthem and flag in the future.
And that's key, because in the past we've seen athletes, sportsmen, sportswomen, competing under a neutral flag when it came to the country we represent, in this case Russia, as opposed to the Russian flag. So now this is the next big decision. Will they be able to represent Russia at a major sporting event such as LA 2028? Michael Waydock joins us live, talkSPORT's Olympics correspondent. Where is this going then, Michael, in your view? You're hugely experienced in matters such as this, and you've got used, no doubt, to covering events with competitors no longer representing Russian, even although they are Russian. Is that about to change?
I think it is. I think it's been coming for quite some time. Good afternoon to you. I was listening to that Kirsty Coventry press conference yesterday. It came at the end of their latest executive board meeting. And I think the roadmap has definitely been for the inclusion of Russian athletes to return to Olympic sport. So just to rewind slightly, a couple of things have changed over the last few days, Jim. So last week, the IOC changed their charter and they changed their rules basically to emphasize that athletes should not be punished for the behavior of their government. So that was the very first sign that we were going to get a change. There had been some hints before that. Then the second thing that has happened here is that Russia were essentially banned from Olympic competition because there were some controlled sporting bodies in Russian occupied parts of Ukraine. So what I mean by that is some regional sports organizations which were in Ukraine were then taken over by the Russians. This was then prompting that suspension that happened back in October 2023. But the IOC are now satisfied that those regional sports organizations are no longer under the control of the Russians. Plus, then they've changed their charter to put the athletes first. They had, as I said, been dropping some hints. So, for example, there were going to be Russian athletes at the Youth Olympics in Dakar later on this year. And so I think all signs were pointing to the fact that Russia will be back as a huge travelling contingency for Los Angeles 2028.
And Simon, the key phrase from me, from Michael there, is that Russia will be back. What does that add up to? Is it a bad optics move or a win for Putin?
Well, I never been listen. There's many reasons why Russia should have been excluded from Olympics. One of them being state-sponsored doping at one particular point. But for the political landscape, I've always had reservations. I've always made the case that politics and sport shouldn't be allowed to mix. But accepting in the world we live in, geopolitics form part of the reasons why people are in sport to some extent in the first place. I don't subscribe to the view that once upon a time, because in 1936 Hitler used the Munich Olympics as some degree of propaganda, or Goebbels did, that now in this day and age that we live in now, that it can be leveraged the same way. And of course I sat in studios and was very friendly with Victoria Azarenka, the tennis player who was a Belarusian, who was not able to participate at Wimbledon because she was a Belarusian, had a Belarusian passport, although she lived in Miami. There's nothing to do with that particular regime. So part of me feels that there was no reason really besides the landscape of the hysteria. And I understand that the Russian invasion and the Russian invasion of Ukraine and circumstances such as that create a circumstance in people's minds. But it didn't stop Saudi Arabia being banned. Saudi Arabia weren't banned from a particular set of circumstances when they competed in tournaments because they were dropping bombs on Yemen left, right and centre. So it seems that we pick our wars and we pick our circumstances as to who gets banned as a result of it. So I'm in the belief that they probably shouldn't have been banned in the first place.
Okay, all right. I'm just wondering, Michael, what you think of what it's going to look like and sound like in LA 2028 with the Ukrainians present and then the Russians present and possibly the Russian national anthem being played at that very event. What is that going to look like and sound like?
Yeah, the IOC are never very quick to make decisions, and that is why they have put off this decision over things like anthems and whether you'll be able to see Russian flags. We did, of course, have Russian athletes, as you were saying, there competing in Paris and in Milano Cortina. There were 32 Russians and Belarusians competing as independent athletes in the Paris Summer Olympic Games. And I think what the IOC will be hoping for here is that the situation in Ukraine might calm down enough that they can bring the flags and the anthems and everything else back in, and they can have a Russian delegation marching in the opening ceremony. And I completely agree with Simon that what has happened here is the IOC have been backed into a corner because, as we know, there's 100 different conflicts taking place on the planet right now, very high profile ones like Israel and Palestine, like the US and Iran. And if the IOC have got this stance against Ukraine, then they're going to need to have that stance against other countries. And they certainly don't want that stance against America, which bankrolls the movement and is hosting the next Summer Games and is hosting Winter Games after next as well. So I don't think they want those accusations of bias levelled against them. And what I would also just say as well is I think the other point that Simon made about the state-sponsored doping, I think that's more important to the IOC, because what we saw at the Winter Games in Sochi in 2014, Jim, was that the Russians deliberately manipulated the results. That is worse for the brand of the Olympic Games as far as the IOC members are concerned than war in Ukraine.
Can I just ask you, out of curiosity, given that we've had the recent elections with the IOC and Sebastian Coe was standing for that position, do you think Coe would have taken this position? Do you think he would have, given that he took his position in 1980 and ran, do you think he would have taken the position with the Russians that's now being taken by the incumbent president of the IOC now?
Now, you know Sebastian Coe pretty well, Simon. I think the actions of what World Athletics, which he's president of, have said over the past couple of days. So what's going to happen here is the IOC will give this decision to the international federations. So international federations like World Athletics, headed up by Lord Coe, and World Athletics have already said no, they are not having the Russians back. So I think had Sebastian Coe been elected president of the International Olympic Committee, I'm not sure that we would be at this point now.
Michael, thank you very much indeed. Michael Waydock, talkSPORT's Olympic correspondent, joining us live. Simon, if this is to happen at LA 2028 and the Russians come back representing Russia, do you think it would be incumbent upon FIFA to do something similar at the next World Cup, or UEFA to do something similar at the next Euros?
Well, it depends if he gets a phone call from Putin. If Infantino, if you're judging by how he operates, I don't know. Look, I mean, is it incumbent upon one regulator to be defined by another regulator's actions? Not necessarily. Would it be? I mean, we just saw the IOC have this preposterous outlook that what you identify as is what you can compete as. We saw, with due respect, a male athlete competing in boxing under the auspice of being a female. And all the challenges with that, because the IOC's position is what you decide to identify as is what you can be. So if I identify as a dog, I can compete as a dog in their little silly world. And it's only because of downward pressure on these organisations that things change. So should they follow suit with the IOC? Not necessarily. Should we be taking and conflating the circumstances around what happens in politics and overlaying it into sport? In an ideal world, we should not. And as I said a moment ago, which conflict has more merit than another? So the Saudi Arabians, with all due respect, and I'm not picking on them, have been dropping bombs on Yemen for quite some time now. So why hasn't the international community railed around those guys competing in the tournament?
Yeah.
Because for different reasons, the Russians represent a different set of threats and a different set of circumstances and a different set of political capital and a different set of Western tensions.
Yeah.
And all of that brings out a circumstance that people react to, in the same way that we saw the ridiculous hysteria after George Floyd was killed in 2020 or 2020, and the whole world goes to madness and every country is now considered to be racist. We have to look at things through a serious prism rather than moment in time.
Well, we have just seen the Iranians compete in a World Cup on US soil.
Yeah, and of course we looked at the way the Americans treated them. On one side of the argument, it's outrageous the way we treated them. On the other side of the argument, this is a nation that's been saying death to America for 50 years. I'm not bloody surprised they wanted to be a bit careful about the Iranians coming into their country. Wouldn't you be?
Having said all that, we are, purely on a football front, going to head out to New York next. Stay with us. We're back after this.
Michael Owen, in his Daily Mail column, has decided, I think, to take a bit of a swing at how we have reacted to that Arsenal Freudian slip there. That England result the other night. And he says, let's not confuse drama with quality. England must improve. He's basically dismissed the calls that it was brave. He says, I think we mistake what bravery in football is. We are celebrating players throwing themselves in front of shots as if they have gone to war. And he offers his own interpretation of bravery, which is real bravery is wanting the ball when 80,000 people are willing you to make a mistake. It's showing for possession when everyone else is hiding. It's taking the ball off your mate when he's in trouble, knowing if you lose it, you'll be criticised. That's football bravery, and that's what England need more of if they are going to win this World Cup, in the context of how it made this country feel as well. This feels like quite a miserable take. I know that we need to start looking ahead to Norway and the improvements that we need on the pitch, but for the moment,
100%.
You know, I think
let's celebrate.
Let's celebrate. It's Wednesday.
I totally disagree, Michael Owen. I feel that like players in that atmosphere, you know what I mean? Like everyone's talking about the altitude. You've got 80,000 Mexican fans. I think it is heroic in a way of like you getting on the ball, Jude Bellingham getting on the ball, Dan Burn throwing themselves up in front of shots, doing that for your country, knowing how much football means to this country. People are going through a tough time. It's not the best state at the moment of the country. And those players, I think, like, hold themselves in a high manner because that's what you want to see from your team. How many times have we been in tournaments where, oh, you're playing against Mexico away. Oh, okay, we don't want to turn up. Oh, you know, some players crumble. Every player, even the subs that come on, they perform. Yeah. So I think it was fantastic.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win. This summer, talkSPORT is bringing you live and official coverage of every game of the FIFA World Cup 2026. And to celebrate, we're giving away £26,000 guaranteed. Go to win.talksport.com to enter now, and you could win 26 grand in your hand, tax-free. Enter now, and you could be the next to get that winning feeling, courtesy of talkSPORT Win. Find out how to enter now at win.talksport.com.
It is Jim White, Simon Jordan and Sean Dyche. We're live in talkSPORT. Just back from New York, Simon and myself, but let's head back out there now because Alex Crook, talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, is waiting to speak to us there. Mr. Crook, how are you finding life out there, mate, now that we've left you?
Oh, well, obviously I'm missing yourself and Simon in particular, but we're cracking on, Jim. The World Cup feels like it's reached the business end now, and I've got to say some of the knockout games have been brilliant. England, Mexico obviously was one for the ages, but watching Argentina come so close to getting knocked out by Egypt yesterday, and even Cape Verde in the previous round, I hope it's resonating back home now, because I know the kickoff times have been difficult, but I think from a pure football perspective, this World Cup has been terrific.
Yep, I think you're right. And it's gathering pace with each and every day. Listen, I know you're right across a whole bunch of stories that pertain to football clubs and football associations back here. On that very topic, can you tell us any more about speculation regarding Roberto Martinez, of late of Portugal, now out the tournament, and the Scotland job?
Yeah, there's just a few whispers north of the border that Martinez could be a contender to replace Steve Clarke. I think at the moment it would still appear unlikely. He was obviously on good money with the Portuguese FA, the Belgian FA before that. We know that the Scottish FA are not cash rich. I wonder if they might have to maybe go down the USA route where they find a private donor to get a top-class manager, because I think that's what they need. He does have a Scottish wife, which I think is where the speculation comes from. And I was told mid-season that Martinez to Celtic was a possibility in that regard. But making a few more inquiries this morning, I think his preference would still be to get a top club job somewhere in Europe.
Well, Sean Dyche is about to go in the shortlist if he can confirm that his wife is Scottish.
I was going to say, that's a good purpose for that. His wife's Scottish. Oh, well.
Wait, what about that job in all seriousness, Sean? No, where they're at the moment, how they exited the World Cup?
I always defend managers and coaches and all that. That's a poor statement. You know, a top-class coach or manager. You know, Steve Clarke has done an amazing job. Let me just make that clear. I know what the noise of this World Cup, of course, but in the bigger picture, to get them where they've got to, in my opinion, he's been top class. I'm not saying whether he's top class or not, but he's been top class what he's done. I know there's lots of, arguments for how he's conducted himself in this tournament and the Haiti game. Of course, I get that. But overall, now, if you go on to the next one in, I mean, Martinez joking apart about his wife and all that, I don't think it's about whether he wouldn't see it as a step backwards or anything like that. At this stage of his career, for me, Martinez, it's not about it's not about his money and all that sort of stuff. He'd see it as a challenge. I don't think he'll do it, but I would imagine, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes, he'd see it as a challenge. I don't think at this stage of his international management, he's thinking it's about money and all that. Can you get a group and make them better? Now, you either want to be with a team that can win it, which probably thought he was with Belgium and with Portugal, to be fair.
Yeah.
Or you take on a challenge where you go, can I improve it? And not only improve the national side, can I drip into the system of football? Which other FAs do, of course, with their managers. I don't know what the Scottish FA are looking for. They're looking forward to purely someone who works with them elite players and tries to win something, or success in some way. Let's not say win the World Cup, but let's just say success in, the way they see it, or someone who's going to drip feed through the whole system and have an effect on the whole Scottish system.
A serious question. Would it interest you?
Do you know what? I don't think it would, but not because of any reason other than I'm just not there at the moment from that side of things. International management, I don't think. Look, you never know, do you? You never know, because I probably came out of Everton feeling a bit like I wouldn't. And then Forest was a bit different for me. It pulled on the heartstrings a little bit. I don't know. I think it's a strange situation I'm in, a good situation I'm in. I'm enjoying life at the minute. I'm enjoying being here, lads, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. But it doesn't mean I haven't got the thirst to go again. But it's got to be something that I really believe in and really want to get involved in.
Right.
So you'd have to speak to them people anyway. But no, at the moment, I've got a smile on my face, and it's hard to have a smile when you're a manager. Trust me.
This is true. Tell me more, Alex, about where we're at with Marcus Rashford out at the World Cup, of course, with England. Thereafter, what's he looking at?
Well, I think this is a really interesting situation when it comes to Marcus Rashford, because the preference both on Manchester United's part and on Rashford himself, as I understand it, is that he is sold this summer. He's on huge wages. He got a pay rise, actually, as a result of United qualifying for the Champions League. So you're talking about in excess of £325,000 a week. Looks like the door to his dream move to Barcelona has been firmly slammed shut by Anthony Gordon, who also ironically looks to have taken his place in England's starting 11. I would expect Gordon to start this game against Norway in Miami. So as it stands, Marcus Rashford will have a 3-week holiday whenever his World Cup comes to an end. And of course, most of us hope that will be after the final here in New Jersey in less than 2 weeks' time now. Then he'll report back to Manchester United for pre-season training. And as it stands, I think it's more likely Rashford starts the season as a Manchester United player than doesn't, because there just doesn't seem to be an appetite by clubs to take on that huge salary.
Okay, and we'll finish with Enzo Fernandez. Is he staying at Chelsea? What's happening with him?
Yeah, I think this one is wide open. Obviously, he spoke after that Argentinian victory yesterday and said he would not even contemplate his future until after the World Cup. But the fact he said that means there is something to be considered, because otherwise he would have just come out and said, my future is with Chelsea. Obviously, Real Madrid released that statement saying they weren't interested, but maybe that was, as Simon said at the time, some kind of negotiating tactic. I keep coming back to Manchester City and Enzo Maresca, particularly if Rodri was to leave. I know they've got Elliot Anderson, but I think they would need another midfielder in there. And we know about the relationship between Fernandes and Maresca. No talks yet, I'm told, between clubs, but I think that would certainly be one to keep an eye on.
All right. Alex, actually, I will mention this. Fulham appointing Alvaro Arbeloa as their new manager. Is it a 3-year contract? Am I right?
Yeah, 3-year contract. And I think it's going to be interesting to see which players he brings from his former club. I know Jose Mourinho, by the way, put in a strong word about Arbeloa to Shahid Khan, because, of course, he played under Jose at Real Madrid. I think Mourinho wanted to keep him as part of his coaching team when he realised that wasn't going to happen. He's effectively helped him land this job at Fulham, 3-year deal, as you say. And I think part of the attraction is that they feel, Fulham, that he can tap into his knowledge of Real Madrid's young players and maybe get one or two of them to Craven Cottage.
Alex in New York, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Alex Crook is still out in the US as the World Cup cracks on. Sean, before we hit the next break, Sandro Tonali, now of Tottenham Hotspur, says a 2-hour conversation with Roberto De Zerbi convinced him to ignore suitors like Manchester City and sign for Tottenham. He says, I spoke to the head coach for close to 2 hours about the club, the fans, the stadium and our football. It was like magic because I knew immediately that I had to sign for Tottenham. Did you have this power of persuasion
yeah,
when you
nothing
spoke?
to do with the contracts.
Yeah.
Ever. No way.
I mean, he's doubled his Newcastle wages and he's got on to 275
nothing to do with
grand a
that.
week.
It's
But
chat
it's got nothing to do with
he
it.
had with the manager.
The power of persuasion. Did you have it as a manager?
Yeah, of course.
Because De Zerbi obviously had.
Look, it always tickles me because I hear all these stories. What's the player meant to say? Do you honestly think the player's going to sit there and go, well, they gave me 3 times my salary? I'll tell you what is interesting, just listen to that. So you got Rashford on the one and they're making a big deal about he goes back and he gets some more money because they, did well or they're getting the Champions League.
Yeah.
325,000. He's 28. His record is actually quite strong when you look at his career. And then Tonali moves, he's 28, I think, just coming up 28, 100 million. So do you get what I mean? Well, what do you think he's getting paid? He's going to be getting paid a lot of money. Not necessarily what Rashford's getting, but a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what value you're looking for? They're almost implying that Rashford goes back. Oh, well, no one will touch him, but someone paid 100 million for Tonali.
Right.
So
did
the market
that baffle you? The price tag.
My point is that the price in football have been baffling me for years. It doesn't matter anymore, my thoughts. It doesn't matter our thoughts anymore. So pay it or don't pay it. That's been made clear by Newcastle United. They've gone, right, you give us this. Yeah, I don't know what it started at. Whoever knows, 70, right? I know 80, 90, 100.
Yeah.
So, and it's not the player's fault, by the way. That's the thing that people forget about.
No, people
this.
want to pay him that.
Yeah, I think that's got better though over the years. It used to be, he's paid all that money for. That seems to have died a little bit from fans. I think they've gone, well, they have to pay that money. I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing for the players. But historically, you can have all the chats. The number of players I had a chat with, then you miss out on, and you think you do. There comes a time when you do think, oh, am I saying the right thing? And then you find out they're getting 3 times the salary that you offered them. It's not rocket science, you know.
I'm just trying to imagine
All
this.
human.
And Sandro, you will go on to £275,000 a week. Pass me the pen, please.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
yeah.
There comes a time, doesn't there? And the agent will probably get a couple of quid as well. I would suggest.
Exactly. Agent Simon.
Agent, best mates. Best mates.
We're live in talkSPORT with Toolstation. Spend £50 with Toolstation Club and score a reward stamp for a chance to win a holiday worth £10,000.
Terrible story here, really. The French Football Federation say they're filing a report for legal action against a Paraguayan senator who launched into a racist tirade against Kylian Mbappe after Paraguay were knocked out by France in the last 16. Celeste Amarilla, she's a national senator in Paraguay. She took to Twitter, to launch an attack on Kylian Mbappe, which we would consider in this country to be an absolutely outrageous racist attack on the France striker. Many of the comments are that disgraceful, boys. I can't, and I genuinely do not want to repeat them. One thing she did say, though, which I think captures how rank and classless she is she said, the only thing many of us blame the Paraguay team for is not giving Mbappe a full-handed slap at the end of the game. I mean, I cannot stress how appalling her comments were, but Mbappe was class in his response. He took to Twitter, a platform that we know is rife with abuse. Yeah. And he was brilliant. He said, you're a despicable woman and unworthy of your position. You do not represent Paraguay, the country which has sweated passion and honour throughout the competition. Through your reckless and brazen racism, the entire world has already forgotten the journey and the historic effort that your players accomplished during this World Cup, making way for an incompetent woman who gives the worst possible image of her country. And I think that's a great response to what is yet another example of prominent black players being victims of racist abuse, tropes and stereotypes.
I seen the statement, disgusting, mate, is all I can say. Some of the words that she used, and are you surprised? Not really. Do you know what I mean?
Sadly, no.
Yeah, you expect it in the world we live in. If I was France, I'd go full force on that woman, like the full law you can. What can you do to make her life unpleasant?
Yeah.
Ban her from France. I don't know, I'll do everything.
We all know that in history, Pele's a GOAT. He's won the World Cup 3 times, the only man to have done so. But let me tell you about the one he didn't win, and that made him quit World Cups for good. Ahead of the 1966 World Cup in England, Brazil were favourites again. They won in both 58 and 62, meaning a historic three-peat was on. But their opponents all had plans to stop Pelé. Bulgaria set a trend in the first group game. The instruction? Take Brazil's main man out of the game. Pelé came away so battered and bruised he couldn't even take part in Brazil's next match against Hungary, which they lost. He returned for the next one against Portugal, but they channeled their inner Bulgaria. This is one of numerous brutal challenges throughout the 90s. Remember, this was pre-substitution, so Pelé had to hobble on before being carried off at the end. It's even tough to look at now. Brazil lost and were out in the group stage. Speaking years later, Pelé still had sore memories. At the time, he said he'd never play at the World Cup again. FIFA responded by introducing subs and red and yellow cards. Pelé did come back in 1970 as part of the greatest team in World Cup history.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just gone 3:30 this very warm afternoon. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Sean Dyche live in talkSPORT. Back to us in a second. Let's head back down to Wimbledon. Here's Lisa.
Ukraine's Marta Kostyuk's given the folks back home in Kyiv something to cheer about after reaching the last four at Wimbledon for the first time. She beat Jasmine Paolini 6-3, 6-2 to line up a second consecutive Grand Slam semi-final. Linda Noskova will meet her there after defeating Elise Mertens in straight sets. So we are on to the men's quarter-finals. Flavio Cobolli was a runner-up at Roland Garros this year. He is serving 2-3 in the first set. Very, very cautious on centre court between him and Arthur Ferry so far. And they're in the early stages over on court number 1, where Taylor Fritz is playing the French Open champion, Alexander Zverev.
Well done, Lisa. Well done, Lisa. Thank you very much indeed. Back with Simon, myself and Sean. Sean, of course, who had a spell at Nottingham Forest not that long ago. The same Nottingham Forest have officially appointed Oliver Glasner as their 5th head coach in less than a year. Sean, I know in your time there, no doubt you've come away and you think, right, okay, this worked, that might have worked, whatever. You will look back in it. That's another period in your managerial career. Back in 2023, via an open letter to the fans, the owner, Evangelos Marinakis, outlined a long-term goal to re-establish Nottingham Forest as a dominant force in English football. 3 years on, now that Glasner's gone in there, our ambition is not simply to compete, our ambition is to win, to challenge for major honours and to create a football club that our fans can be proud of for many years to come. Oliver's a winner. It has always been our goal to establish Forest once again amongst the leading clubs in England and in Europe. What's he talking about there? Is what he is seeking, Marinakis, impossible for a club like Forest?
I don't think it's impossible. I think he came into it originally, built the club up, which he's done. Fair play. Got him in the Premier League, which he's done. Kept him in the Premier League. I think when I went in there, I was trying to say, look, I don't feel they're ready to be in the top 6 or 8 at the moment. I think that's going to take time. I think it does take time. Everyone knows my belief in the club and my sort of past in it. So I was happy to go in there. Big challenge for me, big challenge for my staff, because it wasn't in a great place. They'd lost the winning edge and all the rest of it. Stats and facts. I could bore you with them. I won't bother. Our spell was exactly what we were brought in to do, and that was safeguard it. You know what I mean? That's what I was wanting to do. Well, at that time, give it a firmer footing than what it was on, calm things down,
stability,
get the points on the board, get the job done. But then all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, but we're not playing this way. By the way, to be clear, not from the owner. The fans started strangely going, yeah, but the fool's boy in football. We had a record number of efforts at goal against Wolves, to give you a view of it. I think it's only the second time it's ever happened and drew 0-0. But if we'd have won that 3-0, the football's not boring. We'd beat Liverpool away 3, and then we beat Tottenham home 3. So it just changes. So I think the challenge of Nottingham Forest, the reason I'm telling you that story is the challenge of Nottingham Forest, there's 2 different challenges. One, internally, what the owner wants and desires and what he's pushing towards. And then externally, how are you going to do it?
Right.
So Glasner, for me, his record is definitely standing up more recently. Well, it was standing up anyway, but what he's done in the last couple of seasons over at Palace, of course, brilliant. But how do you go about the next one? Because a lot of their football was 3-5-2. It was quite stand back, defend, counter, different ways of playing, I would suggest. It's not doing him down, by the way. I think he's done a great job, just to be clear. But it wasn't, let's roll out and play total expansive, free-flowing football, which I think for a sort of thing they've got the players to do.
I see. Yes.
From a fan point of view, let me be clear. The owner wants success. How it comes, he'll take it. He obviously shown that with Nuno. I know at the end there was a bit of oddness or whatever, and Nuno leaves. But generally, the Forest fans accepted it. But guess why? Because they were winning a lot. And it changes the narrative when you're winning a lot. And I was a big fan, just to be clear with that as well, to all the Forest people out there, because it's like these words get twisted around. I was a big fan of what Nuno was doing. But the actual football was attritional. It was get it forward, play with Chris Wood, get it in the box and try and win. And once we're winning in a game, we defend it out.
Right.
And they had great success.
Right.
When I got there, we were trying to blend it. What I'm saying is Glasner's challenge will be doing the things that the fans want you to do in a style that can also get you in the top 6, let's say. Let's say top 8.
So it's not just about winning.
I thought it was because of what had happened to Nottingham Forest Football Club. But, the feel of football has changed radically.
Yeah.
Radically.
Yeah. Can you relive the chat? Did you have a chat with Marinakis? And did he say to you, this is what I want from you?
No, yeah, well, he made it clear that the first thing is we needed to calm everything down. We need to get a better base to work from. And that's what I tried to do. Change the culture there, change the environment to what I thought would give him a stronger base to work from. Just to be clear on another thing, I didn't go in there, thinking I was going to be there 10 years. Not because I don't believe in myself, not because I don't believe in what we can do. It was just because I think we're in that period of life at Nottingham Forest when they were just trying to get a handle on it again, a Premier League handle of it. And my record suggests if you got me, you will be in the Premier League. And that we would have been in the Premier League without a doubt, by the way. There's no doubt in my mind that we'd have been in the Premier League. But they made another change. But then look what happened to the next change. It was a reaction change to get more reaction from the players. And the players reacted, and then they won a few games, and then they stay in division. But then they get rid of that manager.
Marinakis says Oliver Glasner is a winner. Do you think you could have been a winner?
Well, I'd be surprised if he got me in because he didn't think I could win, because that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So he thought I was a winner, and my record suggests to get that job done as regards winning enough. Not to be a genius or anything like that, but win enough to make sure the club is where they want it to be. To take it forward, they've obviously decided on Glasner. What I'm suggesting is, how is he going to go about taking it forward? What is it? Is he going to do the same he did at Palace? But if he does the same he did at Palace, you are going a little bit towards that kind of Nuno style football. Maybe not as much as that, but you get my point. Pretty strong organisationally, not too much. It's not all about free flowing football. Being pretty pragmatic, pretty organized. Which, by the way, I value everything I'm saying to you. I'm not doing it down.
No, sure.
I take great value in managers who can do this.
Of course.
But will they agree with that? Will they accept that? Or do they want this Forest history to rebound itself and come back round again?
I've said many times to you, Simon, Marinakis, on the day Forest went up at Wembley to the Premier League, he's in a suite and he's saying to me, trophies. It's got to be about trophies. It will be trophies, trophies. And now we hear what he's looking for in charge of the club. Our ambition is not simply to compete. Our ambition is to win, to challenge for major honours. I'll ask you, is that impossible for Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, because the way that the game is now governed and restricted, it doesn't allow Nottingham Forest or Aston Villa to have a sustained run at building a football club like Chelsea and Man City got an opportunity to do. They're a victim of the timings. They have an owner that is perfectly capable financially of being able to bankroll the football club.
Yep.
The industry is being regulated as if it's a business. It's not a business. Clearly, it's not a business. Everyone's losing money. Although if it was a business, people wouldn't be losing money. So the dynamics are that Nottingham Forest and clubs like Nottingham Forest and Newcastle and Aston Villa are hugely disadvantaged by time, the timing of it, because Chelsea wouldn't be where they are if Abramovich was governed by PSR. If Abramovich was put in the same position at Marinakis or Wes Edens or whoever else of the football club or the PIF fund that own Newcastle, that are restricted. Look at the penalties. Look at the sanctions. Look at the cost. Look what Nottingham Forest had to endure when they went up. Look at the ridiculousness. They go up to the Premier League. They get sanctioned because they got losses from the previous season, which are far less than the Premier League club. So you're already at a massive disadvantage, and you're governed by a set of losses from a previous league that affected you in the new league. I mean, it's outrageous, really, what's going on in football.
Yeah.
With Marinakis, I mean, Marinakis is irrational at times, but he's also very successful. He pays for his own mistakes. The reasons why Forest got themselves in the mess they did last year, and I actually quite enjoyed watching Forest under Nuno. I thought that they were remarkably efficient. Never will Chris Wood have a shot-to-goal ratio in his career that he had in that season. They were it was unsustainable because all of those players were operating at such a level that there was no way they were going to be able to sustain it ad infinitum. So you go into it. How do you tell me, how do Nottingham Forest go and compete with Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, that have got £500 or £600 million turnovers? The way you do it is by buying better players, getting better outcomes on the field. If you can't buy better players because you're governed by PSR, how are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? And every time you get a good player, along comes a legacy club and takes him off you.
And that's what's expected of guys like you, Sean. What I was trying to do when I was there is manage the outside noise in the sense of they'd had one good season in 35 or 34 seasons. Nottingham Forest had one good season in 34 seasons. So I was trying to say, what gives you the right? How can you suddenly think we're just going to roll this over every season? Because we had one good season, we're in the top, But I'll extend it a bit more. We're a top 10 Premier League club. Fact, right? That was the feeling. I went, whoa, cool, you Jets. It takes a lot of work. It takes a number of windows to be a, regular top 10 Premier League
But he
club.
would back it.
Yeah.
The thing that's unfair is that, ironically, Marinakis would back his words up with money, but he can't. So what is wrong with the system? Marinakis wants his team to be successful. The very premise of the Premier League being the best domestic league in the world is because it was allowed to have inward investment. So here you are now with a Greek shipping tycoon that wants to pour money into English football, and we're being told no.
You've got to remember as well.
Why? Because Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Manchester United and all the legacy football clubs in European football got together and said, we're not having any more of this. We want to make sure that we're protected, we're insulated, so we can't have our position taken. And that's the fundamental flaw with what's going on.
The other thing I always make clear, because I think it's important to, we were talking honest earlier about my authenticity and being honest with owners. I had a good relationship with Mr. Marinakis. I had a good relationship with his son. Miltos, he spoke to me the other day. It wasn't about that. The players decided things weren't right, and that's the way it goes. That's the owner's choice then. Do you get what I mean? And it was only a small minority.
Went to Marinakis.
Yeah, we spoke about this before.
We've spoken about it before.
Yeah.
Behind your back.
Yeah, but no, not really behind my back, because he actually asked him.
We want to bring him into a room so much we don't like
him.
him.
He actually asked him after a game, so I knew they were going to see him. The challenge of modern football is that it's changing. Players are changing, and it's not. I'm not crying in. On this show, I try and tell the truth.
But many
players
people,
are changing.
Sean, listening to this will be appalled.
No, they
that
shouldn't
1
be.
minute
No, they
you're
shouldn't
trying to
be
manage these players.
No, you shouldn't be.
And then a
It's
group of
reality, right? You can all kid yourself.
Even though you kind of knew
you can all kid yourself.
went behind your back to a degree.
Jim, people,
this is what I think of them.
The wonderful listener to talkSPORT, you can kid yourself and make out that owners don't speak to players, they don't speak to agents who speak to players, and the agents don't speak to the owners and tell them all these stories and all these things. They do. It's just owners have different ways of dealing with it. In the Greek culture, they listen to their players and they want to be involved with the players and all that sort of stuff. That's what I learned. So that's that's their model.
Do you know the ones who stuck the knife in?
I wouldn't. Why? They're your words. I didn't say anything about anyone sticking.
Well, do you know the ones who didn't speak favourably of you?
I would say there were certain people who made complaints about the most obvious thing in football, which is working hard. And I said when I came out, if that is my biggest sin, getting players to work hard for Nottingham Forest Football Club and their badge, I'll take anything you can throw at me, because I don't see anything wrong with asking players to work really hard for a football club.
Have you spoken to any of that group since?
I didn't need to. They know what I feel. I'm not exactly backward in coming forward, Jim.
No, I agree. Quite right. Quite right. When you look down, are you disappointed in some of those individuals?
No, I just think I'm a realist, and I try and give a real angle on these shows, and I try and give real, intent of my words, because I'm a realist. This is the modern game. It's changing. It changes every few years. The different cycle of young player comes through. More needy, more crutches to lean on. Why didn't you feed this back to me? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? The first game we remarked on Tuchel at half-time, genius for saying pull the handbrake off. Guess what? They lost 3-0. They said, well, he didn't give us any tactical information. We didn't know what we were doing. This is the modern player. This is how it's changing.
And Sean's right, and that's all well and good. But you will not win in football if you are listening to the players.
That's the key. In the longer run.
That's not good ownership. Smaller clubs and smaller mentalities, you will not get. It's nothing.
You wouldn't have entertained those players.
I will have a passable relationship with my players. I'm not interested in their opinion. I'm interested in the opinion of the manager. He's my champion. He's who I trust, and they're to do a job. Now, if they want to have a relationship with players, nothing wrong with it. You start listening to players about what you should and shouldn't be providing them with, then you are not going to build a successful football club. You're not.
Yes, from an owner, you see. It's right. He's right, in my opinion, in the longer run.
How do you think Elliot Anderson will do at City?
I think the difference with going in City is he won't be deemed as the player. You know, in a way, it will do him a favour. He'll be under the radar. He's still got a lot to learn, Elliot, by the way. Very good player. Very best I've seen it winning it back. Best I've seen it. But now he's got to add production now. You know, goals, assists. But that could come because he's got all them players around him. Yeah. I think Man City have given him, I can only imagine this, I think they brought him in to be the next Rodri or the next Fernandinho, well, his own version of that, because they've got all them players with all that skill set around him. So they're going, what about the one who can breed the play, win the ball back, get it back, and give it to them players?
Sure.
No, you just pay a lot of money for that nowadays. That's just the way it goes, you know.
Sean, as honest as ever, and we appreciate it. One break to go. We're coming up to 10 to 4.
What did you think of Cristiano's performances at this World Cup?
Well, listen, to be honest, take away the performances. I'm just on because I'm annoyed at Gabby for calling him a disgrace, to be honest. I think it's bang out of order. I think what he's done in his career, he's earned the right to be there.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why?
How's he not earned the right? How's he not earned the right? He scored 28 goals last season. He's 41, Gabby.
So?
What age did you retire? What age did you retire?
What age did you start playing professional football yourself, mate? Yeah, pipe down.
Me, mate.
Pipe
Don't
down.
worry about me, mate.
Don't go there, mate, when you haven't kicked the football in your life, okay? Settle down.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah, I know what it's
settle
about.
Down.
Don't worry about that.
Settle down.
No, you're a disgrace for calling him a disgrace.
No problem.
Honestly,
No,
it's unbelievable.
Look, in fairness, Jack, we stood up for Cristiano. We said he had a wonderful, marvellous career. Nobody earns the right to play at a World Cup finals at 41 just because what you've achieved in the past. No one stops time. And you could see him last night. I mean, he was doddering around in attack. He could not raise a gallop. Time has caught up with him.
Jack still wants him started in the next World Cup as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. He's still producing. But there's loads of top... No, I'm saying Messi walks about, but he's still producing at the World Cup, which is fair enough, right?
Yeah.
But to say that he's not earned the right, he hasn't. He is a phenomenon.
But he's not anymore.
41 years of age.
But he's not anymore.
Unbelievable. You know how hard it is to keep yourself in shape.
But he's not anymore.
But
Jack, surely
it's not a modelling competition.
Jack,
it's a
he'd earned the right to play at previous World Cups, perhaps.
Competition, you'd be nowhere near it, Gabby.
Oh, no, okay. Send us a picture of yourself, mate. Let's rate you out of 10, mate.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win. This summer, talkSPORT is bringing you live and official coverage of every game of the FIFA World Cup 2026. And to celebrate, we're giving away £26,000 guaranteed. Go to win.talksport.com to enter now, and you could win 26 grand in your hand, tax-free. Enter now, and you could be the next to get that winning feeling, courtesy of talkSPORT Win. Find out how to enter now at win.talksport.com.
Football Form Roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. The world's gone football. Get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Well, Sky Bet's feature of it, The World's Gone Football. Let's listen back to a remarkable morning that followed an historic win in the Azteca and what it meant to England fans who set their alarms for 2 in the morning.
I can't get no sleep.
Saka inside the penalty area, stands up a ball and a diving header is in, and England silence the Azteca with Jude Bellingham. It's Bellingham again, and he slipped into his right-hand side, and he scored again. It's 2 in a minute.
To me, that was probably England's best performance I've ever seen.
Every England fan should have been glued to that TV watching it.
Harry, your country needs you here. You've got to put this away. Right footed, he has!
My 15-year-old doesn't really watch football. He was watching it with me. It was delayed. He got up. And then my 18-year-old strolls in at 5. You don't get no sleep because you're waiting for him to come in. Dad, what a game. And that's just memories, and that's what it's all about, gents.
To let your children, mate, watch that game tonight. You know, we're going through such a hard time in this country at the moment. A lot of financial strain. That was free tonight, mate. To see my son with tears of happiness, mate, what can cost thousands and thousands of pounds will never be forgotten, mate.
One of the most talked about England World Cup games in their history.
Oh, well, I had a long day at work yesterday, came home, decided against a tactical nap, watched the game, obviously finished late on. It's my son's 8th birthday this morning, so he was down at 8 o'clock, and the best thing was this morning, honestly, the best thing was putting the highlights on for them, and they're absolutely running around the house buzzing now.
Free word. Free word.
Don't do it.
Coming home!
Amazing, wasn't it? And next up, England-Norway, live in talkSPORT. And that's 10 p.m, right? Saturday. But that was thanks to Sky Bet, 18 plus, gambleaware.org. A lot to look forward to, Sean, is there not? Before we do that, just want to hit this and then we say goodbye.
Football Form Roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. Download the Sky Bet app and get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Norway-England. Do England win it and win it comfortably?
I don't think comfortably. I think England win it, and I definitely want them to, that's for sure.
Yeah. Thereafter, all roads lead to the final, do they? I mean, it could be Argentina, it could be Swiss. What do you think?
There's so much at stake then. I think it's who turns up for me. I know that sounds very simple, but when that whistle blows, who turns up, who delivers the top performance that's needed.
Fantastic. Sean, thanking you. Mr. Jordan, I'll see you tomorrow.
You will.
Enjoyed it, man. Thank you.
We're getting used to life back here in the UK. Stay tuned for World Cup Game Day Drive. Andy Goldstein, Darren Ben, once again live in New York. They'll be joined by former Watford striker Troy Deeney and rapper and Spurs fan AJ Tracy to discuss both England and Premier League matters. Trump, who I think I heard say at one stage he didn't know about the red card system, he still suggested
unfair.
that the referee at the heart of this, Rafael Claus, was a bit suspect. He's the president.
These were two great athletes that got tangled up, and this referee, who is a little bit suspect, if you check his past. I don't want to say that because I don't like to create controversy, but very suspect. And he gave him a red card. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't think it meant much. Then I started hearing that means he can't play in the next game, at least in the next game. And I related just that feel. I didn't tell him what to do. I can't tell him what to do, but and I don't believe he made the decision. I think it was a committee that made the decision. All I did was ask for a review. I didn't say you have to do this. This man is a smart, tough man, Johnny Infantino. He's a smart, tough man. And his stock has gone through the roof because the job he's done has been great.
See, now we have the length and breadth of it, right? Now we know the full length and breadth of it, right? So now we know the full length and breadth of it. We can eviscerate it because it deserves evisceration, right? When you listen to that, you think to yourself, it's absurd. But again, it takes me back to the position. And Trump says absurd things, but no one disputes the fact that he says lots of absurd things. And that in the context of sport.
He's the president.
But people say lots of things. Lots of people say lots of silly things, right? But you'd expect him to say something better.